What is the voice that you're using? Is this video something that shows an expression of creativity, regardless of the tools used to create it? That's the beauty of YouTube. There's no gatekeepers. We can make any video we want.
Hey, welcome back to the only podcast that goes incredible lengths to bring you all the great information to help grow your YouTube channel. Of course, as always, I'm Travis, and we're here with an incredibly special guest, all the way from YouTube headquarters. Like, when does this happen? This never happens. Good friend of mine, Rene Ritchie. How you doing, Rene?
Really good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Super awesome to have you here. I've actually known you for a while. Let's real quick pull the curtain back a little bit. This isn't like I don't know Rene. Weirdly, I knew Rene back when he was just doing tech YouTube. We've been friends for quite a long time, and then he got into YouTube, and I'm like, I have an in finally. I finally have an in.
We did tech podcasts together for a long time. Now we're doing YouTube podcasts together. The world's amazing.
But let's talk about how you even got there. So you were literally like a YouTuber who then got a job at YouTube, which is really interesting and unusual. Just kind of tell us, A, like what your title is, what exactly you do, and then B, how did you get the job?
Yeah, so I was like a tech YouTuber for a long time, but I was doing it for media companies. I worked for Mobile Nation, so I would do like reviews and how-tos and all of that. And then that company got sold. They kept the original channel. And so I went independent, launched my own channel, and that was 2020. Then ludicrously, like that worked really well for me. Best job I ever had, most successful job I ever had. Being a creator is fantastic. And then the most ridiculous story ever, my agent was gaming with some creators, including Mr. Beast, during the pandemic because Jimmy was just bored, and they invited me to join them. And Jimmy introduced me to some people, actually both my agent and Jimmy introduced me to some people who worked at YouTube. I became really good friends with one of them, and he suggested I try out for this job. And originally I was like, no, I'm a creator, best job in the world. I'm never going back to a company. I'd worked at companies, like 2 previous companies for very long periods of time. I loved being like an independent creator, full-time creator. But the ability to help other creators at the scale of YouTube was once in a lifetime. Like I loved helping people choose which phone to buy, which laptop to buy, but I always wanted something more, and I never knew how I was going to do it. And this gave me that opportunity to really give back. So I'm YouTube's creator liaison. I get to spend half my day helping YouTube's product and policy and support teams better understand and empathize with creators, and the other half helping creators just better understand how YouTube works. Because as you know, there are so many myths and misconceptions out there.
There are, and I was excited when you got the job because I knew you beforehand, and I knew you'd be a great advocate for creators. And it's just really cool to see YouTube actually pick someone from the community who is an advocate for creators, but then also really smart about how to do these things and kind of navigate the way. So I'm curious, you go into the job being, I'm sure, like, all right, I'm going to be able to do for the creators. What is the reality versus the actual thought of going into it? Like, you're like, I'm going to fix everything, but what does that actually look like?
Yeah, like, so one of the things I knew going in, because I'd had other friends who went to big tech companies, is like the early impulse is to say, I will fix everything here because I am on social media and know what needs to be fixed. And then they bring out this drawer and says, like, this is what happened the first time we tried that. This is what happened the second time we tried that. And you're like, oh. And I tried my best to avoid that, but like that still happened to me. I was like, hey, we could just do that. And they're like, let me show you which part of YouTube you just deleted. And I'm like, well, what about this? They're like, well, let me show you this other part. Because it turns out like YouTube is so vast. And like we use the word creator, but creators aren't a monoculture. There are things that would help like certain creators and hurt other creators. And a lot of these things end up being really intricate balancing acts that just keep the ecosystem growing sustainably for everybody. And our CEO, Neil Mohan, is so great at saying this. He's like, when stuff gets to me, there are no easy decisions anymore. If they were easy, someone would have made them long before me. And I can't even imagine the types of decisions he has to wrestle with, but it really is about keeping viewers coming to YouTube. So he would probably say like keeping creators, like giving them the best stage in the world to build on so that viewers have the best stuff in the world to watch, so that advertisers want to pay to reach those viewers so that creators can get their share of that income. And I think that last part, the partner program at YouTube, where it literally is a revenue share, is so key because it forces YouTube and creators to be aligned. Like YouTube succeeds when creators succeed when YouTube succeeds. And I think that is just serendipitously one of the greatest innovations that YouTube brought to like media.
Yeah, I agree. And I know there's some stuff that's been in the news recently, like YouTube pretty much pays the best, pretty much against any of the other platforms out there, which is also nice. And it gives you an opportunity to do not just short form, but long form live streams, like really cool things. So not to pat YouTube on the back too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to pat him too much on the back, but it is kind of a fantastic platform to be a part of, and super excited to have you here to talk about it.
Thank
Now,
you.
for those of you watching, if you're new here, we do this every week. We talk to different creators, and we also help you grow your YouTube channel, but we also take questions from the crowd, and this is what makes this podcast a little unique. And we're actually going to take the questions that you've submitted and give them right to Rene and see what he has to say. But before we do that, there's a couple things that I know that are large-scale things that people have recognized over the last couple of months. So I just want to ask them myself because I'm a little bit greedy. I got Rene here. I'm going to go ahead and ask these questions. Let's talk about AI. Now, it's something that you cannot escape. It is here to stay pretty much for content creation. Whether you love it or hate it, it's here. And obviously YouTube is really spending a lot of time and money integrating AI into the creation system and stuff like that. Talk to us about what YouTube thinks about AI and like, what are they doing to make the creation of videos on YouTube easier using AI as a tool?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure different people will give you different opinions on this. For me, like as a creator, I remember when there was like stage and then multi-camera TV shows and movies, and then the dawn of CGI, and now AI, and the same thing with music, where it was like live music, and then records and CDs and the age of auto tune. Like technology advances and people take these new tools and they do like wonderful things with them sometimes, and there's not such wonderful things, but in essence, it's a tool. And for example, there are just things I'm not good at, like pivot tables. I know like there's some creators who download all their data, put it in a spreadsheet, and extract wonderful value from that. That will never be me. But with Ask Studio, I can just start typing in questions like I'm talking to another person. And they give me answers that I would not even have known how to find that information. So that to me is like incredibly powerful. I also I asked Gemini to roast my script, roast it harder. Just because like I'm my own worst editor, and like sometimes I think things make sense, and sometimes I don't agree with it, sometimes I do, but it forces me to think and make sure in the end I have a great product. I do that with people too. Sometimes they have time to do it, sometimes they don't with me. So it's nice to have something who's always available. And then like things that I love that aren't quite there yet, but I can imagine on the horizon. Like I recorded this whole podcast with this big stain on my shirt. And now I have to call Travis and say, please, can we re-record the podcast? Like an idiot. But I would just love to say, get rid of that stain. Yeah. Or I was like too tightly, which just happened to me. Like I was just too tightly framed. And there's like not enough headroom. And I would just like to say, like, I don't have to reshoot this. Just give me some more headroom. Right. And I previously would do that with like Photoshop and masks and Final Cut and all these different things. But like to be able to just have that done for me, I think like I don't have a big special effects company budget. They can do that in Hollywood all the time. And previously I was forced to compete on budget. Now it's just creativity. So I think like as much as the day YouTube launched, it solved for distribution. Any creator can distribute to the extent of like any studio. I think these tools in the hands of someone who is truly creative, a great storyteller, will let you tell stories that previously you just couldn't because of budgetary reasons.
And that brings up a point. So there are a lot of ways now to make content that was almost impossible if you didn't have a team of editors and stuff before. And that brings up when you create content using certain AI effects and stuff, at what point does it become monetizable versus non-monetizable? Now, I'm not talking about like inauthentic content. We'll talk about that later. I'm talking more about the money of it. When you have to check that check mark, does that affect, discoverability? So let's start there. If I make a video with some AI B-roll and an AI voice, is that monetizable?
Yeah, so YouTube doesn't have specifics around like whether AI is monetizable or not. Those policies apply whether like you shoot it with a camera, whether you use stock footage, whether you animate it, whether you use CGI, whether you use AI. All of those policies are the same. So it's not the tool that's important. It's the quality of the work that matters. The other part of that is like we provide a lot of these tools. So the inspiration tab will give you ideas, even like thumbnail prototypes. Auto dubbing will translate your video into I'm losing count of how like over 10, like over a dozen languages, and that is AI audio, and that's all perfectly monetizable. So I would think of it less about like, is AI monetizable, and whether like, is this video, is this channel, is this idea monetizable? And to the second part, the checkbox is to tell everybody if you're making content that is synthetic or altered to a degree that it would confuse somebody watching it. Like, will they think their city's on fire and panic and try to evacuate? Not good for anybody. Right. So you check that box. That box, if it's like a minor thing, it'll be in the description. If it's like in certain sensitive areas, it'll be right on the video, because we just don't want people we don't want harm to accrue to that video. So we want to give people the information for them to make those decisions. But the same as like checking the sponsor box. On YouTube side, it makes no difference. There might be viewers who love AI and it'll make them more likely to watch it. Viewers who hate AI and are less likely to watch it. The same like people who like see a sponsor segment in the video and don't like it. Like audience has agency. They get to decide what they like. But the YouTube discovery system is deliberately designed not to have knowledge of those sorts of things, because we never want to or like artificially limit or like boost like the reach of a video. All of that reach, we want it to be organic based on like how viewers are engaging with it.
I'm glad you said that last part, because we've heard similar things before from YouTube, but I feel like finally, at least personally, because I knew you before you joined YouTube, that if you tell me that, I can finally like completely believe it. Because I'm sure you've seen videos in the past where you'll see a YouTuber say, well, as soon as monetization went off this video, it completely lost traction. There's no more impressions on it. So we finally caught you, YouTube. It's connected. I know you've seen those over the years. And I think some of those came out before you joined YouTube. So I'm like, okay, great. Rene gets to go in and find out if that's actually true. So you're basically saying it's true.
Well, and you don't even have to take my word for it. Like what I love about vidIQ, like Rob did a whole video where he monetized and demonetized videos, and like they didn't change anything for the videos. And again, it's because the algorithm, the discovery system doesn't know what the monetization status is, and that is deliberate. Like let's say you're a charity and you're not allowed to monetize it, or like based on your own principles. Or let's say like there's some streamers who cover legal issues who just don't feel right about putting ads on it, so they use membership. There's no reason that those videos shouldn't get every bit as much reach as if they had ads on them. So turning ads on, turning ads off doesn't affect everything. I think where there is some confusion is there can be like people can confuse causation and correlation sometimes. So like the primary example is, let's say you make, I'm not saying you, but let's say somebody makes an adult video, like a video like very mature themes. The monetization system may say like this does not meet our ad-friendly guidelines. Advertisers would not want to be on this video, and so the video is demonetized. At the same time, the discovery system might say this is not appropriate to put in front of like a 13-year and older audience, and that video might get age gated, which means that you have to log in with an account that's over 18 years of age. Like you might see those things and think one caused the other, either way, but they're actually like different systems responding to the same signal. And there can be videos where like advertisers just aren't comfortable with them, but they're not age gated. And there might be videos that are age gated and some advertisers are perfectly fine with them. So the two systems aren't in lockstep either. But I think that because there are multiple systems acting on the same signals, people do conflate them sometimes.
I want to talk about one more thing before we get into the questions. I recently spoke to Tim Danilov, who is a faceless channel creator. He has a business now. Really fascinating interview we did. If you guys are watching this now, you can check out that podcast episode. It's really fascinating. And we talked a lot about faceless channels and kind of the explosion of that on YouTube. And we're not inauthentic. These are like legitimate videos and whatnot. And I guess the question is, does YouTube, are they paying attention to this kind of new? I don't even know if it's new. I mean, there's always been faceless channels, but there seems to be a slightly more explosive growth of this, mainly because of automation and all these other things that help making a faceless channel easier. Is that something that's on the radar for YouTube, or do they even care? It's just like, oh, it's just another content type, and it is what it is.
Yeah, YouTube tries really hard not to have opinions. Like YouTube wants the audience to choose. Like the YouTube doesn't want to pick and choose on their own. And like there are phenomenally successful faceless channels, like Wendover Productions, Half as Interesting, Real Life Lore, CG, like animated channel, CGP Grey, Hell of a Boss, Amazing Digital Circus, like ridiculously successful channels where like there's no human face involved. There are tech channels where to this day, like back in the old days, you still only see the hands on the table with White Sox next to them. And like that's technically a lot of those videos are faceless. Phenomenally successful. 45 minutes, an hour long, like like checking out a phone with like White Sox on the table. Phenomenally successful. So all of those things, I think a lot of times it's helpful. Like if you think YouTube doesn't like a certain thing, look around, and if you see phenomenally successful versions of that, it's an indicator that it's not an issue at all.
And then I think finally, last year we did a podcast about this, and a lot of channels talked about this. There was a kind of a drop in views for a lot of channels. I know Linus Tech Tips did a couple videos on it. And they eventually came to the conclusion that it had something to do with like pop-up blockers on browsers. And I know you guys must have heard about this. What was going on in your guys in your guys' mind? Like, did you guys handle it? Do you know what the issue was? Did the thing that they came back to saying that they thought the issue was that views that were on a browser that had a pop-up blocker weren't counted. Is any of that true?
Yeah, so nothing changed on the YouTube side in terms of how, like, this was prominently, like you said, Linus Tech Tips, people who had large desktop viewerships who would use an ad blocker, like likely to use an ad blocker. So large percentage of that audience. YouTube didn't change anything on the YouTube side. There was a change in how shorts views were counted. Like there's now views and engaged views. That's separate from this. But what was interesting with that is people were saying lower views, but same number of likes, same amount of monetization. So we looked into it. A lot of people looked into it. I actually found the answer on social first from T.O. Joe, who said that an open source, I think it was open source, was a commonly used list of telemetries that a lot of ad blockers use to update what they're going to block. And there was a line added to that at the exact same time that blocked telemetry that YouTube used to register a view. So basically, if you were using an ad blocker, the fact that you watched the video is no longer being sent back to YouTube, so YouTube couldn't count it. And I'm like no longer the tech nerd I used to be, so I might be phrasing that a little bit wrong. But if you liked the video, the like signal was still being sent. And if you didn't have an ad blocker, like you were watching the ads, so the ad money didn't change, but it was just those views on desktop because that one signal was being blocked. And my understanding is they've since changed that, like removed that, changed that, updated that. And I haven't heard about it being a problem anymore.
Yeah, it kind of just disappeared out of nowhere. Now we're going to get into the questions that y'all have sent in. We've got a couple ways to do that. You can email us at theboost@vidiq.com, but we also have a Discord, and we got a lot of questions from there. So first, we're going to start with an email. This one is from Woody. Woody has a channel called Eightfold Tattoo. I started a channel about a year ago, which reached to 1,000 subscribers super quick. And his second video gaining 10,000 views. Real quick, Rene, 10,000 views. That's not like something that everyone gets.
No, that's amazing. I think like sometimes people will look at how many views like a huge mega creator will get and feel like that's not a lot. But if you imagine 10,000 people like sitting in front of us right now, that's a large stadium. That's like a wrestling event or a sports event, like a big concert. 10,000 people is ridiculous.
I'd be happy with that.
Yes.
My first 20 videos all had good views for how old the channel is, but my heart isn't in Japanese tattoo and painting time-lapse videos. 11 uploads ago, I decided to change the direction slightly and make more educational videos based off first tattoo advice. In other words, like if you're getting your tattoo for the first time, which you can imagine has quite a larger TAM, which is a total addressable market. I believe this is an underserved niche, and even more so by someone who's had 20 years of professional career experience, such as myself. Since making the transition, my views and subs have stalled almost completely, with most of my views getting 500 views at best. I believe my content is good, but nothing is, I'm not getting a lot of views. And basically he's saying is content retention and everything is good. And this is about pivots. So remember, he started off doing specifically Japanese tattoo and painting time-lapse videos. And now he's talking about first-time tattoo, experiences. This is a different audience. Can we talk a little bit about pivots, expectations on pivots, and how YouTube looks at a channel that had one type of content and now it's kind of switching, and why views don't necessarily follow?
I think the first thing that's helpful is that as much as possible, the discovery system tries to follow the audience. So you're almost, Todd Beaupre famously said, like, any question you have about how YouTube works, think about, like, just replace the word algorithm with audience, and you'll almost always get a better answer. And these things, like pivoting is hard. If you're a musical group and you do a different genre, like we've seen how people react to that sometimes. If you like leave a one movie franchise, there's no guarantee the next movie franchise will be just as popular. If you leave like one TV show early on, you no longer want to play that character and you go on another TV show, it's no guarantee the audience is going to move with you. That show is going to be successful. It's the same thing. You can start a new channel, but sometimes, like for a creator, either it's already monetized and they don't want to give that up, or they believe that there's enough of an overlap that some of their like core audience will come with them. I think a lot of times we believe that people are there for us, but a lot of times people are there for the topic. Like we're talking about their favorite thing. If you're Casey Neistat, like the topic is Casey Neistat, you can do anything, but very few people are like that. Most of us are like bound to our topics. And I know I tried that. Like I tried doing like a bunch of other videos on my channel, wasn't great. I'd probably have to start like a dedicated channel or put as much time into the pivot as I would into a new channel. And I think that's key, is that like you've grown an audience who are used to going to your channel and getting that topic, getting that video from you. And if it's different, it's like their favorite Italian restaurant became a Cantonese restaurant overnight. And they go there the next time and they're like, wow, but I really wanted the lasagna and now I don't know what to do. And some of them might just go to another Italian restaurant. There might be a few who's like, well, I also like Cantonese and I like the chef, so I'm going to give it a try. But like you are not going to get that regular core Italian audience crowd anymore. So I would think like you need to invest in it. Sometimes people will do like for 10 videos, they'll do 80% old, 20% new. Next 10 videos, 50% old, 50% new. Next 10 videos, other way, like 20% old, 80% new, and then go 100% new because they want to build that audience. They want to try to convert as many people as they can. But I would like, just for the sake of like our mental health as creators, I would look at a pivot as essentially starting a new channel with maybe a boost if you have like a strong loyal following.
And it's not easy, and mentally, like you said, it can be very trying because you've established something and you're used to something, and as soon as you do this new thing, fundamentally, I think we think, oh, you know, it'll still be pretty good views. But just like you said, and I think one of the things we forget about as creators sometimes is just think about this as a viewer. Literally, look at a channel that you may have been watching for years that has changed content, and do you still watch them as much as you used to? It's possible that you don't, and that's literally what's happening. It's more about the people than the algorithm, although, as said many times, I mean, just think of the algorithm as the people, and just consider what that experience is like for your viewer, and know that if you're doing good content and you do it long enough, pivots are possible. It's just a little bit rough at times.
You're just building out a new audience.
Exactly that. Our next question is actually from a text message. If you're listening to the audio podcast, there's a link in the show notes that allow you to send us a text message. And this one says, hey, Travis and the vidIQ crew, love the pod. Copyright strike question. I often use screen grabs from John Deere manuals for my tractor repair videos on my channel. It occurred to me that I could be flagged for copyright infringement down the road. However, it seems very unlikely as far as I can gather. Do you have any thoughts about requesting permission versus begging forgiveness when using copyright material? And I'll just say this. Requesting permission versus begging favorites, begging forgiveness only sometimes works in a relationship and sometimes not even then. And while neither one of us are lawyers, I think if you think about, I mean, we're going to give you like a better answer, but I'm just going to say the chances of someone looking at a video and saying, oh, you showed our instruction manual and that's bad, we're going to copyright strike you, might be low. Having said that, Rene.
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer. I can't give copyright advice either. But like as a creator, I've faced these sorts of things. And the part that struck me in that question is like going forward, like the future, because there might be one answer today and the answer next week or next year might be different. You see this too, like even like when music libraries or content catalogs are sold, how a new company acts might be different than how a previous company acts, or like there's just so many variables. I try to only ever use anything that I own or have licensed, just because like I don't want to put my channel at risk. It took me so much time to build it and put it together. That said, like I would strongly urge like people to think about what the possible consequences are now and then, and make educated decisions and talk to a copyright lawyer if you have any questions or confusion or concerns.
Absolutely. And Corzines on YouTube, he's really good for that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's probably not something you have to worry about, but I think what Rene said there is super critical. Maybe all the leadership of John Deere right now doesn't care. They're like, it's good promotion for us, show it everywhere. And then they get a new CEO tomorrow, and that person is like, nope, we're not doing that. And then what can you say at that point? So yeah, better safe than sorry. We don't want to scare you away from it, but we just want you to understand what the possibilities are. All right. Next email. This one comes from Rob. Thank you for an awesome podcast. I watch you guys on YouTube and are learning all the time. I will make this as short as possible. Okay, I want to be clear about this. This email is a lot longer than what's here. I had to do the killing your darlings thing when I was editing this. I think I got most of it. Let's see what we have here. Me and my wife have a travel YouTube channel. We've been digital nomads for 7 years. We have about 8,000 subscribers at the moment. After about 7 years on the road in 2024, we decided to get a home base in the Netherlands. Now we are in Europe, and I'm starting a motorcycle YouTube channel. What I'm trying to do is start this new channel off as strong as possible. So this is similar to an email we had before. This channel is going to be all around a motorcycle. as I watched your last video, you talked about one of my fears, which is becoming a variety channel, because the audience that cares about travel might not care about travel gear or the technical side of information about travel. Is it the same audience? Is the content that I'm making for my travel not hyped enough, considering the motorcycle crowd? And I think this goes back to the audience, knowing your audience. One thing that even as a YouTube coach I've done many times is I've always told any creator, no matter how successful a video we make together, you will always know your audience more than me. I don't know your audience. I will never know them as well as you do. Even if I understand concepts to kind of help get engagement up or views, whatever, it doesn't mean I'm going to be a subject matter expert for your viewership. Having said that, if I am coming to your channel to watch you guys go through a couple countries and stuff, and I think that's awesome, and maybe use a motorcycle, and I might be okay for that. But if it's mostly motorcycling gear stuff, I'm no longer connecting with you as a creator. I'm more connecting with the devices and the content and the tech stuff. Rene, I know that in the tech field on YouTube, that's kind of a struggle for a lot of content creators. It was a little bit for me as well, trying to separate myself from the tech. So people came from me more so than the subject itself.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not clear from the email whether like they want to do it on the original channel or they're actually spinning off another channel. Advice we typically give is if it's for the same audience, at least try it on the same channel. If it's for a different audience, try it on a different channel. Just because like the higher the odds that everyone wants to watch every video, the faster you'll grow. If you don't care about how fast you grow, like, do whatever you want, do variety, do anything. But a lot of people care about how fast they grow. They just want to blow up their YouTube channel. The other thing I'd say is you like figure out if there can be an overarching theme to the videos. So for example, Legal Eagle and Dr. Mike are variety channels. They will do movie reviews, interviews, how-tos. They will roast memes. Like they do a wide variety of things that would otherwise be considered a variety channel, but all of it is anchored in one thing. So like Legal Eagle, it's for lawyers. It's not always about lawyers, but it's for lawyers. Think like a lawyer. Like all their primal branding is around this overarching theme. So that if you land there and it's like, oh, this week it's a movie review. This week it's a news deep dive. This week it's or Dr. Mike. Like Dr. Mike, like this week I'm rating the hotels in like the hospitals in Minecraft. It's still like for people who like medicine. There's a large chance to like this video. So there might be a way that you can like, is this channel from in your own head, know who this channel is for. And if you can make that a superset of everything you're covering, just say that out loud early on, as often as you can, so that people start to know this is what this channel is for. This is what I will get for it. The complete corpus of what they're going to get for it.
Absolutely critical to know yourself and know what the value is so that you can make that clear to your audience. Love that. All right, here we go with the Discord questions. This one came from Chris. If YouTube is giving people what they want, is YouTube allowing the smaller channels to be seen if the content is the same? If so, at what rate and by what standards? Content volume, content quality? How does a smaller channel that has been around for only 6 months get better visibility given the understanding that the channel is providing the same content and substance, I assume, as a bigger channel? And I want to say that I remember Todd talking about this a year or so ago, that there was a team assigned to get smaller content creators more visibility. And in truth, tons of time, multiple times a week, I will find super small channels being recommended to me on the homepage. Is that still a thing at YouTube, or was it just a fluke?
Yeah. Like Todd's role is like, he's the director of discovery and growth, and the growth part is critical. YouTube actually has a stat called creators making it that we track, because like the goal is for more creators to make it. That's an always thing. And there's sort of two things there. One is organically, the way YouTube works, the way that discovery system helps people find an audience. And I should point out, like, YouTube does not push videos for creators. YouTube pulls videos for viewers. Like a viewer opens up YouTube and YouTube wants to find videos that they are going to be interested in, want to click on, want to watch, want to like maybe like follow the channel, all these things. YouTube wants to make viewers happy or at least satisfied. And so those goals are also aligned. And there are so many examples of creators who are like 3 months, 6 months, a year in, who have absolutely blown the doors off of YouTube. I know like every creator here, Travis and myself included, biggest creators on the platform, we all started at zero. The fact that some creators are at like millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions now, we started at zero. So there is always every opportunity. Specifically, one of the things that the teams are testing and continue to test is how can we faster help channels or videos actually that don't have a lot of data? Like if the system's not sure who this is a great fit for, if it's just like a little bit sure. And so there are slots in the homepage. Like when you open up the homepage, if you scroll down, you will see videos that have like a few dozen, a few hundred views. You should see that almost all the time. And that's because like they're not going to give you a video they don't think you're interested in. Nobody wants to recommend or watch videos but it'll take a video that like, we think this is the right audience. Can we test it and see? And then we can learn more about that video, more about that creator, and hopefully get them going faster than they otherwise might.
I love that. And it's important for small creators to understand that while YouTube is a hard platform to grow on, it's actually easier than some other platforms out there. Like, I don't even know how you grow on Twitch. Like, there's not like an algorithm like there is on YouTube. So really, really great answer there. All right, we're going to start dipping our toe into a subject here. This one says, does using AI cutscenes in a video that is mostly not AI count as original or AI slop?
I'm not sure I understand this question either. Like cutscenes and things like that. Again, like YouTube, whether you use a camera or CGI or AI or stop motion animation or like hand-drawn animations, like whatever, that like use the tools that you want to use. You can create human slop. People have been doing that for like years and years and years, and you can create AI slop. Like, but people can also create brilliant things by hand, by camera, by stock footage, by AI, by CGI. So like what technology you're using, what tools you're using isn't the important thing. It's what content you're creating.
And I think that question is kind of leading to something we'll talk about here towards the end, which is inauthentic content. It's a thing that is on a lot of people's minds, but we'll get to that. Don't worry. We're going to get to that question. Don't you worry, everybody. All right. What about this one? Does video length matter a lot in 2026? I see a lot of long 40-minute videos or longer that get a lot more views in general with minimal to no editing, beat 10-minute, well-edited and entertaining videos. I just see longer videos being pushed out across all niches. I will slightly push back on this because personally, as a viewer and someone who watches a lot of YouTube and talks to a lot of creators, this is true in certain niches I've seen. Not all niches are the same. I think that you can find that there's tons of niches that are mainly shorter form content adjacent or happy. One of the examples I like to give is if you saw a video that told you how to bake a cake in 3 minutes or one that's like an hour and a half, which one are you going to watch? I mean, do you need an hour and a half of baking a cake? Probably not. But I think maybe a couple minutes, you can kind of get the general idea. Doesn't mean that the longer form couldn't give you more information, but sometimes you only need so much entertainment about something, and you will find that some creators have found a sweet spot and they will continue to hit that mark of time, sometimes within a couple seconds. I mean, we've seen some creators literally try to hit the same second every single time. But I think that has more to do with the audience than anything. What are your thoughts on this?
The way YouTube works is recommendations can vary based on time of day, like device that you're looking at. So for example, if you typically are waiting for your coffee in the morning and always watch shorts or shorter videos, YouTube might recommend like 1.5 minute, 30-second videos, vertical, horizontal, either of those things, because you're just snacking on content. But when you go home at night or on the weekend, if you tend to watch on the television and you're looking for longer videos, YouTube will tend to recommend those videos too. And I think a lot of it comes down to jobs being done. Like if you are on the go, you might want to be able to choose something quickly. But if you are at home and you're cooking or working out or like doing housework, you don't want to have to stop every 5 minutes and choose another video. So you might want a video you can put on for 30 minutes, an hour, a 3-hour podcast maybe, so that you don't have to stop and re-choose things. And I think like your point on genre too, I think like some people are happy to watch a 30-second dancing or cooking short, but they just would not watch a 30-minute dancing or cooking video. It's just like they love that topic, but not for a long period of time. So you have a lot of different things to balance, but the system is not weighed towards one length or another. The audience is going to sort of drive, like we do see a trend on TV towards longer videos. On mobile, it probably trends shorter, but that's just because that's how the behavior exists for the audience on those devices.
This one comes from Purple Strawberry. Why is everyone getting banned instantly for spam deceptive practices and scam policy? I see horror stories like 5 to 10 times a day, and even on a big channel I watched got banned this way, and definitely wasn't doing any scams or spam. I've seen this too on like social media a lot. You'll see people talk about, oh, this creator got, and they're not a scam or spam person. And I feel like there's probably things that we'll never truly know about all the details of what happened. But I also know, I'm going to dig back into my past. So I used to work at Amazon corporate, and one of the things that I used to do was work with third-party sellers on the platform. And when they would get routinely like banned or suspended or whatever, they would get sent like a boilerplate response as to why they were suspended. Now, a lot of times the response wasn't exactly why they really got suspended, but why they got suspended was an actual reason they should have gotten suspended. So it didn't quite match. So there's a lot of confusion. Is that something that happens at YouTube at all?
So I don't have the Amazon experience, so I can't correlate them. But like we are always and continuously wanting to provide better information. It's something we're working on. We're working on providing more timestamps, more like specific information about any potential violations, all of that. It's like it's a project that we're very passionate about. We want to build out as much of that as possible. I think one thing that hasn't helped is there's a lot of like not get rich quick, but like here's how to blow up on YouTube. Just take a bunch of TV or movie or anime clips and like slap a thing on them and upload 300 of them, and like people see those and they go, yeah, that's a great way to get started on YouTube. And nobody likes to lose their channel. Like whether like you did that and like you're aspiring to be a YouTuber and that just seemed like a kickstart to do it or an easy way to do it. I think like the heartbreak is always the same. So I have huge empathy for them. I always like when people tag me on social, if I see it, I almost always go and check. And there are some cases where like mistakes happen and we try really hard to fix those fast. Team YouTube is wonderful at that. If you like at Team YouTube, you'll see people like every day saying, hey, help with this. And sometimes it's just the correct decision. And they'll say like, we're sorry, we got this reviewed and it was a correct decision. Other times they'll say like, we're sorry, like this is fine. Like everything is correct now. Like you're back on YouTube. Don't worry about it. Not don't worry about it. That sounds insincere. Let me say it again. Like you're back on YouTube, like keep going. So I think those are the sort of things you see on social. And I think people have just also learned that, or they think that like if you just raise a lot of noise on social, it's like an instaback where like it really is like Team YouTube is going to look at it on a case by case basis and they will fix mistakes. But a lot of it I think is just like you want to make sure that you're creating really good, original, distinct content with a value proposition for your viewers. And then I don't think like there's a large worry of this with that.
What percentage of a video is safe with AI content in order to not be blocked or shadow banned? Now, we're not going to talk about the inauthentic content yet because that's a question that comes up later. But I want to talk about shadow banning. We talk about shadow banning on this channel a lot. And I just want to hear from someone at YouTube. Is there a shadow ban thing at YouTube? Do you guys shadow ban? Now, someone's going to say, he's not going to answer it. I trust Rene to answer this very truthfully. Is there shadow banning on YouTube, or is it just when certain videos hit a restricted mark, which a lot of times we're told, sometimes we're not, and that's what, quote, shadow banning is? Or what do you define this as?
Yeah, so like most of the time when I get tagged on things that are like people use the word shadow bans, I go and I look and they're still getting predominantly like most of their traffic from recommendations. I think like a lot of it comes down to, and I feel this acutely because like I have made videos that have not gotten the views that I want. And then for a split second, it's way easier to say like, oh, it's like, does the algorithm hate me? Does YouTube hate me? Am I shadow banned? Like the truth is like some of the biggest media companies in the world with the biggest franchise in the world don't always get like the box office or like the ratings, like the viewership that they want. But there's no algorithm there to blame. On YouTube, just because there is a discovery system in the back of our heads as creators, it's like, this video did great, go me. This video did bad, why does the world hate me? So the vast majority of time, like I will look at that and it's just like it's innocuous. Like there's no reason anybody would have any issue with that content, but it just didn't get the views that you want. And I totally understand that. There are some cases where like copyright can get you blocked in certain or all markets. There are cases where you'll hit up against community guidelines, and that can include things like age gating, which means that people won't see you under the age of like they have to log in with an account that is over 18 in order to see you, and that will affect your views. Like YouTube won't put those videos on like a TV set in front of the entire family. So those sorts of things can like affect your reach. But the community guidelines, ad-friendly guidelines, all of those things are public. You can go look at them. Also, like as a creator, we have a lot of choice. Like we can choose our commerce hat, we can choose our voice hat. Like, and this is true too. Like I'm going a little bit into ad-friendly guidelines, other things here, but like you can make a song with explicit lyrics and you may not get iHeartRadio play or radio play. You can choose to make an R-rated movie and you might not get the audience you'd get with a PG-13 movie. You might not like get the ad revenue on an adult video, but there's memberships, there's sponsorships, there's all these things. So we get to choose the content that we make. That's the beauty of YouTube. There's no gatekeepers. We can make any video we want, but the community guidelines and those, and like the copyright system and all of those spells out like if you use somebody else's IP, or if you do something that is like excessively violent or sexual, like there are policies that will apply.
Love that. All right. Do dislikes matter? Will a dislike video get no impressions? And this is like a holdover, because I feel like when dislikes were still kind of a thing you could see counted, people were like, oh, any engagement is good engagement. And then there became this muddy area of like, is it good? Is it bad? So what is it? Do dislikes matter?
Some people think like any engagement is good engagement and like you can rage bait, whatever, but negative signals are negative. So but also it's highly personalized at this point. So let's say like there's the same video, it's got 1 million views, like it's absolute performance, it's absolute performance, and you watch it and you give it a thumbs up, and I watch it and I give it a thumbs down, just because of our personal taste. Like there's just something about it that you like and I don't like. You are more likely to get similar videos to that in the future, and I am less likely to get similar videos to that in the future. So that will affect like our personal recommendations. But like if tons of people dislike the video, there's tons of people who are going to get less videos like that in the future. So it is something to keep in mind.
That's really good. So essentially it's more of about a personalization thing more so than an algorithmic thing overall.
Well, it'll understand it, because like if the audience is reporting negative like sentiment on that video, that is something that the system will understand.
Okay. This is a great one, because anyone who watches a lot of Twitch understands what this is. Are there any plans to expand channel membership features to include the option to provide channel-wide ad-free viewing for the selected membership tiers, which I think is great. I assume you've heard this before. What's kind of the latest on that?
Yeah, I have heard it. It's great feedback. I'm happy to pass it on to the team. I think right now, like YouTube Premium and the new YouTube Premium Lite are the way that YouTube is addressing ad-free viewing, and it's on the account basis rather than the channel basis. But I love this kind of feedback, and like the more people who send it in, like the more I'll pass it along.
Amazing. Finally, and this is probably the main event that a lot of people are waiting for, inauthentic content. Inauthentic content. This needs to be detailedly discussed. So many channels are getting demonetized lately because of this. I understand YouTube doesn't want the same AI images to be used across each video, but what about, for example, a channel that did have different images, different scripts for each video, but still got demonetized? Seems like using AI is wrong, but then again, YouTube is using more ways to create shorts with AI. Can't be understood the logic here. And then also, I think along with this, we need to talk about something that's come up over social media a lot, is like channels being demonetized and stuff, and people saying, oh, well, an AI did it. Like no human could have possibly looked at this because I got the rejection so fast.
Yeah, I mean, I addressed part of that before. Like, I'll go and look at it, and someone is just not going to be happy if they lost their channel. So, like, if they say like no human looked at it, and then I look at it, it's just then I'm like not a good human. So, like, I totally get it. Like, I don't mean that to be facetious at all. Like, I totally get it. Like, people are upset they lost their channel. I totally feel that. Inauthentic content doesn't apply specifically to AI. Like, you can create inauthentic content. People have been doing it for years, long before AI tools became prevalent. There's a video from a couple of years ago where I spoke to TK. On the YouTube partner program, and he talked about reused content, which people have similar questions about. Like, what is reused content? How does that affect it? It's hard to give like prescriptive answers to these sorts of things because like it all changes so quickly, and the tools change so quickly, and how people look at it changes so quickly. But as a creator, the way I think about it is, can I tell where this video was made? Like, I talked about like faceless channels before. Whether they're AI or not, like I know a Wendover video, and like the minute I see it, I know this is a Wendover video. I know this is a CGP Grey video. I know that this is a Minute Physics video. I can tell those videos and where their home is. And like that, I think talks about authenticity. It's about like, what is your unique voice as a creator? What are you, like YouTube's motto was give everyone a voice and show them the world. What is the voice that you're using? And I think Inauthentic taps into that. Like, is this video something that shows an expression of creativity, of human creativity, regardless of the tools used to create it? If you actually go into the spam, scam, deceptive practices, or you look at the Inauthentic guidelines, there are a bunch of examples in there, like content that's like machine produced and uploaded at scale, or like some of them are just like people say like this is my own original work, but it's scraped from another creator, or it's like a TV show or a movie, and just editing it doesn't make it original.
The one that I think of a lot, I see sometimes, is when there'll be, it's almost like a video ad. It'll be a picture of a product, and then it'll have like a voice over it, and it's just basically reading the specs for the voice, and then the links in the description are like essentially affiliate links. So it's almost like this advertising to click a link, and you're not really learning. It's not a product review per se. It's just the image and then a bunch of specs and then click to buy. Would you consider that inauthentic? I know you're not the arbiter, but does that sound
No,
like
I'm
that?
not the arbiter, and I hesitate to give like, because then someone will say like someone at YouTube said this is fine or not fine. I don't want to give people bad advice, but like there are specifics in the guidelines, things like engagement farming, where like the video, like the entire video is hit subscribe for +3 brain rot or something. It's very well like laid out in there, and I would just encourage people to look at it. But really, like as a creator, ask yourself that question, like what about this is me? Because like the opposite of inauthentic is authentic, and I think that's much easier to answer. And that is like, is it original? Is it authentic? Is it like providing like unique value, your unique voice? Like if people see it, like, will they know immediately like this is like Travis's work? And I think that like is what gets us out of bed in the morning.
A lot of times these things change over time. Definitions of things change over time. So I assume that YouTube pays attention to this. What kind of like things does YouTube do to stay on top of the changing nature of content creation? I think this year we're going to see a lot of automated channels, automated content farms springing up. Not all that are inauthentic. I mean, there's documentaries. It can be automatically generated and stuff. What are like the processes that YouTube has to look at something and go, okay, yeah, this is good, we'll move on? Is there like a group that meets every so often, or how does that work?
No, I think it's very, like in my experience at least, it's very fluid and dynamic, and like you're literally every day you're learning, because people come up with new and novel things every day, or new and novel spins on things every day. So you just have to be on top of it. You have to humble yourself in front of the millions of uploads that are happening constantly, all the time, always, and just like think about, again, like balancing the ecosystem. What is in the best interest of creators, of viewers and advertisers, because that's what has led to the tremendous success YouTube has, and now like 20 years plus of that kind of success.
We're at the very first part of 2026 as this is being recorded. What are the things you're excited about seeing most for the rest of this year on YouTube? I mean, there's constant innovation coming to YouTube, so I know some other things have been announced on the, they at the beginning of the year, they always do this thing in New York. What are some of the things you're really looking forward to this year from YouTube?
So I'll give you like the boring answer and then like the sappy answer. Like the boring answer is, I think like a lot of us are looking forward to dynamic brand segments, so that you'll be able to, instead of burning in a brand mention, you'll be able to put a slot for it, like you do a mid-roll, and then upload your asset and change that asset over time. Maybe get different sponsors, maybe go to a house product. Eventually we'd love to have it so like you can have different US or UK or different like regional sponsors. In the beginning, I believe it's going to be based on time, but like there's the option for views, and like eventually maybe back catalog would be great, because not everybody like had brand deals like when they were smaller, and maybe we can go back and add those in, or just like remake, like get those videos back into the market. I think that's fantastic. What excites me the most for, though, and this is the sappy answer, is like there is a creator I don't know anything about today who could be like the best thing in my world next month, or 3 months from now, or 6 months from now, where I just don't want to miss their video. And I love that that's a constant thing at YouTube.
Yeah, that actually happened recently to me, and I actually interviewed him here on the channel, Nomad Push. Anyone who's on the YouTube channel, go check that interview out. What an amazing creator. Love that guy. And just a really cool content creator that just showed up on my homepage one day, and now I can't stop watching him. Amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Rene, thank you so much for joining us today. Greatly appreciate it. Where can people find you in case they have a question about something?
I'm at Rene Ritchie on almost everywhere. But like if you have tech issues, please go to @Team YouTube. They are the superheroes of this world, and they can help with like individual stuff. I just try to get like feedback and try to figure out how we can make the entire platform better for creators.
Yeah, so if you have an amazing idea that YouTube's never heard before, then maybe reach out to Rene. If you have a technical problem, there's definitely a whole other team for that. But Rene, regardless of that, thank you so much for joining us today. We greatly appreciate it. What a beautiful studio you're in for this interview.
Thank you so much.
And we'll see everyone on the next one.
The biggest mistake, they don't study YouTube.
As a creator, you will never feel more understood than when you are surrounded by other creators.
And that's when they crack the code, because they start speaking to the viewer. They like connect with the viewer.
Derral has cracked it, because storytelling can get you to watch anything. Hey, welcome back to the only podcast that scours the earth to find the people that are going to teach you the best. I'm Travis, as always, and I hope you're doing well today. And I have an incredible guest. I'm actually super excited for this, and I can't tell you how much you need to go right now, get a pen and paper or a computer or whatever you got to take notes, because you're gonna need to take notes. I have the incomparable and really kind of legendary in our space, Derral Eves. How you doing?
Doing so great, man. Travis, it's great to be here.
Well, I'm super happy to have you here. You have accomplished so much in the space. And for those who don't know you, because there's a lot of people who actually listen to podcasts haven't even started their channels yet, which I love. I get a kick out of that. That means they're really committed. They want to know in advance. Tell us a little bit about yourself for people who may not know.
Yeah, so my name is Derral Eves, and I'm obsessed with YouTube. Joined YouTube October 2005, and I knew this was the future and wanted to be a part of it. So I built an agency around YouTube. We worked with some of the biggest brands and YouTubers on the planet. And then personally, I'm addicted to gold play buttons. I like to create, just ideas and facilitate growth and then convert that growth into money. And so we've personally started just by ourselves 34 channels, and we got every channel to 1 million subscribers each. And I have about 120 billion views on YouTube as of last month. So like really excited about that. And then for me, I'm kind of more of an entrepreneur than I am a YouTube strategist. I use YouTube to actually do what we're looking, whatever that may be. And so I have other ventures, like a VidSummit is coming up. It's basically a conference. We're in our 12th year of creators coming together and sharing, all about the industry. And it's more like creators helping other creators, similar to what you guys do here on vidIQ. And also, I co-founded a TV show called The Chosen. So I'm an executive producer of that. And we're just finishing up season 6 production. So we've been doing this for a while. And it's one of the fastest growing TV shows in the world. So it's really, really fun. We used a lot of the tactics and strategies that I taught people in my book, the YouTube formula, and we applied it to breaking the all-time crowdfunding record in film and television, and then also some of the crazy things that we've done with The Chosen. It's come out of what I've learned on audience development and how to create and engage a community. So.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all those things in depth, because I definitely personally want to share my story about VidSummit, specifically a very near and dear thing to me. And The Chosen is such a new thing to me, and I'm super excited to talk to you about that. We're going to get into that a little bit later. Yeah. What an incredible show that is. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Let's talk a little bit about you. Just a friend. We're going to get to know you a little bit better. You live in Utah. I just visited Utah a couple weeks ago. It's the second time I've been.
Wait, you never stopped to say hi?
Well, here's the thing.
Travis, come on now.
You are super hard to get a hold of, but even if I could, I think it was on the opposite side of Utah. But I have two things about Utah. Number one, every time I go, I'm blown away by how beautiful it is and how amazing it would be. I'm like, I actually could see myself potentially living here. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. And secondarily, there's sugar everywhere. You can have, if you're a sugar fan, it's everywhere. Cookie stores, soda stores, everything.
That's right. You got ice cream, cookie, sugar, soda, all that other stuff. It's Utah staple, I guess.
I love it. Derral, tell me a little bit about, because I remember you mentioned a couple of years ago that a lot of creators were moving to Utah, especially larger creators. Why? Why was that?
Well, it actually started when YouTube came about, and Utah were a lot of entrepreneur. We're like, hey, let's bootstrap something. We're opportunity seekers in that regard. And when YouTube was coming out, Devin Supertramp, I don't know if you remember who he is, OG YouTuber, he's like, oh, this is gonna be the next big thing on YouTube, and we're gonna go have a meeting in our basement. And there was like 30 different people in that meeting. I was one of them there. And that's kind of where we started to create a community around YouTube. In fact, it was called the YouTubers, but it's UT. Tubers, that's what we called ourselves. But it was all about synergy sharing. It was all about collaborating, helping each other. Like, oh, you got this gear, I need that gear for this shoot, or I'll come help you, whatever. But in that room, we actually had, you know, a lot of the early adopters of YouTube. So we had Travis Chambers, who started Chamber Media, kind of exploded in that world. We had Ricky Ray Butler, who has done a lot with Ben and exploded that world as well. But we had like Lindsey Sterling, the piano guys. We had all these, you know, OG, Shay Carl, all these OG people. And all they were talking about is the capability of YouTube. Now, at that time, the meeting was very simple. It was like Devin saw the commercial application from a videographer, right? He was doing a lot of stuff with Aura Brush, and it really took off. And he was like sharing the secrets there. And then Shay was the first person to be in the YouTube Partner Program. So he was like one of 5 people that was selected. And they're like, oh, you can make money at this. And so we saw the opportunity. We gathered together. And then after that, it was a private Facebook group, and we had meetings every month, and you know, just kind of helping each other. And so it actually facilitated a lot of the early creators coming out of YouTube. But then, as of late, people have been getting out of California for multiple reasons, and it's not just COVID or whatever. But it's like they now believe they can just go live anywhere in the world and do what they love, right? I mean, here you have Mr. Beast in North Carolina. He's like, I'm not moving. They can come to me. And so has a hub there. And Utah has really good weather. Southern Utah has really amazing weather, where it's like 90%, 99%, you know, clear skies. And so it's just like, why wouldn't you want that? And so there are a lot of bigger YouTubers have moved into the area. I just say they just want to be my neighbor, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, you do have a lot of YouTubers knocking on your door from time to time.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, you do.
We'll talk a little bit about that as well. But I kind of want to dig deeper into what you just said there. You know, there was this kind of bootstrap thing where some guys got together and could see the future of YouTube. Again, like I said, there's a lot of people that are just now jumping onto YouTube to listen to this podcast and aren't even familiar with 2005 or 2006 YouTube. Like it was this thing you kind of heard about, but you never really saw.
Yeah.
Can you just explain some of the differences of what it was like to be a YouTuber then versus now?
Yeah, so it was early on where you did it for the love and passion of the content you're doing, and it wasn't a business model. Business model came in 2007, where they like, hey, well, let's just run ads in front of the videos, and we can share that ad revenue with creators. And so they created the YouTube Partner Program. And that was the best move that Google have ever made, because they purchased YouTube and they're like, hey, how do we monetize this? Well, they weren't in the game of creating content, and they needed to say, hey, how are we going to level up content or motivate people to create content? Well, let's share revenue with them. And so it was like an unheard of thing that was being done. The only other company that was doing that was Google with ads, you know, the AdSense program, where you'd have banner ads and stuff like that. So they had some interest in. They knew they needed to crack the model, and so that's what they did from there. And then after that, it was just like, wait, I get paid to upload YouTube videos. To wait, you make what on YouTube? You know, and I think that's kind of the stage of where it was at and where it is now. But I can honestly say this, Travis, that it's finally at a point where I'm like, oh, okay, the world's starting to get it. And it was just literally the last 2 years. Like if you were to do all that, big money was somewhere else. But I see more money moving in because of the way they used to advertise is not the most effective, and they're looking for, you know, people that have very specific eyeballs, like people that are interested in certain things. And so they're throwing a lot of money in this direction, and it's just made creators more profitable. They moved from just being a creator to a media company, a media business. That has joint ventures and also other businesses that is influenced by their audience. And so we're finally at the stage where I feel like, okay, we've graduated enough where serious money's coming in. And when serious money comes in, there's always that opportunity, right? And I find it with a lot of coincidences, like at the time that AI is coming on too, where creators can now streamline a lot of their processes, right? And they can do more with less. And so I'm like, wow, what a perfect time for this. And so that is the difference between YouTube 20 years ago versus today. But I would say if you're coming on now, it is the best time to ever come onto YouTube. Like You go back 5 years, maybe it wasn't the best time. It was the best time at that time, but right now it's so easy, and people might think, oh, it's oversaturated, and I'm saying you don't need to think that way. It's just like you just got to be passionate about something and create content consistently around that something, and you'll find an audience. YouTube finds the audience for you, and you're able to monetize fairly aggressively because of the awareness. I mean, YouTube's the #1 app on TV. It beat out Netflix. It beat out all the other apps, HBO, Paramount, whatever. And that's just the YouTube app. You put on YouTube TV included with the YouTube app. I mean, we're dominating the TV, like we really are. And so there's a lot of opportunity now. And if you are passionate about something, there's a huge vein. And it doesn't matter if you think it's oversaturated. I'm saying it's not. The world's so big and it's getting smaller because of YouTube and the way that they're going after that viewership reach.
I'm going to add to the Derral Eves lore right now. I'm going to tell a Derral story. Some people say, "Oh, I'm obsessed with this. I'm obsessed," and then you dig into the not really. Let me explain to you. I know for a fact Derral is obsessed with YouTube because YouTubers knew way back in the day that if you had live streams on your channel, it would kind of mess up your channel. Now, YouTube always said, nah, it's fine. It's all great. Listen, we got it. Just don't worry. It's not going to affect your channel. And YouTubers just kind of knew. We would always talk to each other. Are you seeing things? Are you seeing things? And everyone would say yes. But no one could actually come right out and prove it. No one actually really proved it. Like some people tried, but YouTube would look at these videos and go, that doesn't prove anything. Derral decided to live stream perpetually for how many, 5 days straight or something? What was it?
Well, it was 5 days. That was showcasing, hey, what can you do and what's the problems when you do that. Mm-hmm. But prior to that, I live streamed for a solid 2 months.
Oh.
But it was on a different project. So I had a lot of data on that, what you're able to do. But then yeah, I went live for 5 days and did not stop. And it was some really great data that led to the live stream I was doing 2 months prior. We did for 2 years. And so we had tons of data of different streams just happening live 24/7, so it was great.
What happened? So you had all this data. I remember when you were doing it, you were like, I'm doing this to prove a point. And I was happy. I was excited. Finally, maybe YouTube will actually see it. So you had all this data. Tell us the story. What happened? Did you go to YouTube? What happened?
Yeah. So I've been I'm known in YouTube. Some people really like me. Some people really hate me. I mean, that's just kind of the way it is. I haven't found anybody in between, Travis. Either they like me or they hate me, right?
I like you. I don't know why anyone hates me. Right? Whatever.
But anyway, I did show them the discrepancy of when a live stream converts into a video. What the problems of that was because of the media type. It was like the media type itself. It wasn't being served out the same way. There's other issues from there. And to YouTube's defense and response is they known it was, the people that I talked to knew that it was an issue. They just didn't know how big of an issue it was. And so it kind of led them on the journey of discovering. And right now I can honestly say, there is no difference between live streaming and converting now. It's just like they've addressed it, but you got to realize that how big YouTube really is, and they don't, when they institute something new, they don't know exactly how it's going to impact the platform, and so they like to roll it out slow and try to catch some of these, but some of them don't. And a lot of the creators had a very valid point, which was, had a ton of concurrent, but it didn't translate. It just died afterwards. And in fact, all my videos died over here, which they did based on the time. But that was a long time ago. But one thing that I can tell you about YouTube is the people that I talk to, they're very responsive, and they're like, oh, well, we're going to put it on this. We're going to make it a high priority. And they do. And they're better as of late. I'd say the last 5 years. They've been a lot more responsive to give creators tools and analytical tools to really help us. But then too, they've been hypersensitive with some things. And the perfect case in point was Shorts. It's like Shorts used to do the same thing that Livestream did, and I pointed that out.
Yeah.
And a lot of other people pointed it out too, where they're like, oh, okay, we need to create a different discovery system for that. And it can't just be blanketed, put into a short form video format. And so Todd and the team went to town, and they made it work. And right now, I'm very comfortable with Shorts on any channel. But to do that 4 years ago, absolutely not. It was like, you might not want to do. You probably want to see what happens first. I mean, if you have
Right.
something going well, let's not disrupt the apple cart here. So
That's right. And so these all become kind of tools and new avenues for discovery for your channel.
yep.
Tell me, and again, the audience is big, a mix of people that are established, people who've been doing it for years, people that are new. How you look at a YouTube channel? Like, what does it mean to you when a creator comes to you and says, "This is my YouTube channel"? What are you looking for to kind of help them?
That's a great question, and you know a little bit more than just the average person what I focus in on.
Yeah, I don't want to say. I want to hear you say. I love you when you
We've been
describe
friends
it.
for a very long time, and I've been in the space, but I'm obsessed. And where the YouTube formula opened up for me, which was understanding when YouTube went from a view-based algorithm to a view-based algorithm. So like having a view-based algorithm to a viewer-based algorithm. So it's like, are they really just focusing on views, shareability, kind of engagement, but it could be manipulated, right? Well, now all they care about is the viewer. They're like, who is the viewer? Can we find a pattern of this viewer and find more of those people? And do they respond positively or negatively to this content? And how do we detect that? So the moment that I realized, oh, wait a minute, it's all about the viewer, that created the YouTube formula for me because it was a replicatable system. Like I could see it based on, oh, I like certain said, niche. When something hits me to the core, I want to share it with people that are into that niche. I share what I'm into, right? And so it kind of created this feedback loop from there. But that is the number one thing. And I'm here to tell you, there's no other platform out there that gives you the tools that YouTube's given creators, not even close, to be able to pull this in. And one thing that I've been requesting from YouTube for at least 8 years now, and it finally hit analytics, is where tell me the type of viewer they are. Like, I want to know, are they a new viewer or returning viewer? Okay, we got that a couple years ago, right? But I'm like, no. I want to know casual viewer, and new viewer. I want to know the people that will casually hit the content, or they're regularly hitting the content, and they're able to do that now. So for us, they're just giving all this the resource to understand one thing, which is, how do viewers respond to your content? And then two, how can you improve? Like every data is giving that focal point. You just have a different lens you're looking through it. And so for me, I always start out with the viewer, and I try to broaden the viewer's reach just a little bit. I don't want to be so far out that it's disconnected, but I want to be super niche down where I have a very small audience. I want, like, hey, how do we make it a little bit more mainstream that's still interested in said value prop? And so for me, number one is about the viewer. And I can tell you, anyone that I've talked to and I've worked with, when it clicks for them of really knowing who the viewer is. Now, when I say really knowing, like they know for a fact who their viewer is and how mentally, psychologically they're bringing value, or what they're doing in the given day. And that's when they crack the code, because they start speaking to the viewer. They like connect with the viewer. Everybody else just has this hypothesis who their viewers is based on demographics. Like I had a consult the other day, and he's like, oh yeah, like 45 to 55-year-olds, females are my audience. I'm like, absolutely freaking not. Your audience is the kids of the females. Like they're the iPad nanny going on right now.
Right.
It is what it is. You can get it through other sources. Yes, that is a data source, but you got to know, mom just wants to have some peace and silence, so they're handing them the phone or the iPad, and then they're watching your content, or they're queuing it up for them to watch your content. So don't view that. And I don't know how they came up with the hypothesis, but they're like, well, YouTube would never lie about that. Well, I says, well, you didn't really look at who the viewer was and the situation, because once you did, it was great. And one of my favorite stories of this is I had a content creator that came on and says, hey, this is our avatar. And I disagreed with him. I'm like, there's not even close. It cannot even be your avatar. And I says, your avatar is more like 9 to 13. And they thought it was more teenager type stuff. And they were doing a musical tour. So they'd go out and have concerts around. I'm like, just see who's coming up to the show. Well, guess what they were? It was literally 9 to 13. They didn't have any teenagers. It was just all that. And then once they understood it, they're like, oh, let's really lean into it. That's when they started to 4X, 5X their engagement and viewership, because they knew exactly who they were talking to. It changed the relationship of, we're pals. No, you're just looking for a cool older sister. Now let's connect. And so that's some power. When
I
you
want
understand
to throw out when we get towards the end of the show, we're going to do some viewer emails, and I'm going to tell everyone who's listening right now, they're going to not believe me when I'm saying what he just said. He doesn't know what the emails are going to be. There's literally like an email that says exactly what, asks a question about what he just said. And you also might think, well, I've been listening to this podcast for a long time. Daryl's saying a lot of things you say. Where do you think I got it from?
Yeah.
I went through Channel Jumpstart, which we'll talk about later, and this is my Yoda. I might be Luke Skywalker now, but that's my Yoda. So the things you're hearing aren't things that I came up with. I got them from Darryl, unabashedly.
I'm just glad I'm not Jabba the Hutt. So that's
no. Oh my gosh, not now. But with all that sugar out there, he could be. Wouldn't take very long.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about small creators, because again, a lot of people listen to short small creators. In your mind, what is the biggest problem small creators have that they don't realize they have? Because most of them will say, I can't get views and subscribers, but that's not the actual problem. What is their problem?
Yeah, I would say it's multiple fold. The first thing would be is they're looking at vanity metrics. Like they're obsessed with subscribers, which I don't. After 2013, I don't care about subscribers. I care about viewers and the deeper relationship they have with content. Like we talked about that very specifically. But I would say they're focused in on metrics that don't matter, and they don't really understand the value prop of their content. And they might say, well, no, my value's here. I'm like, yeah, but it's at minute marker 8. No one's going to get to minute marker 8.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like they need to understand what's that viewing relationship of the content, of how it's being received by the viewer, where they're at in their journey. Are you setting it up so they can get to that moment where it's like, oh my gosh, there is the value? And then they're thinking of 3 or 4 people. But they don't. They think, oh, my video is so amazing. This is the most amazing video that anyone can make. And it's a pile of turd, because it's like maybe not the best title thumbnail to get a good click-through rate. And it definitely maybe did a hook that's right. But then they went off on some trail over here that had nothing to do with the title and thumbnail, had nothing to do with the story, and expected me to know what was going on. I just lost interest and dropped off. And so I never got to minute marker 8. And so for me, I would say it's a balance of understanding who you're creating content for, and then also how are you setting up the video? Like from packaging to hook to setup, how are you setting it up? And then are you deviating from it? If so, let's edit that out. And the data doesn't lie. We can see exactly when it drops. You know, we can see exactly where it drops. We can find the consistent patterns and themes from it. And that's what I teach my students. I'm like, hey, I want to teach you how to fish. I don't want to fish for you. And the best way to do that is to understand who you're making the video for and when they find it valuable and when they don't. And what we want to do is do more valuable stuff and do less unvaluable stuff, right? And so that's the key to it. So I would say new creators coming on generally think that their videos are so amazing that everybody needs to see them, and YouTube algorithm hates them, and yet their video just stinks and no viewer wants to watch it because they don't do what I'm going to say next, which is the biggest mistake that I find content creators make is they don't study YouTube. Now, they might watch vidIQ videos, they might be a part of blogs, they might understand all the little details and mechanics, but they're not seeing content creators that are, it's like a master class when you watch their videos. Like Ryan Trahan is the best storyteller on YouTube, bar none. And when I bring up his name, like, oh yeah, I've heard of that guy. I'm like, you should be studying every freaking video of his.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, he's able to do stuff, and he's not throwing money at him like Mr. Beast is. It's like people are coming because of his quirkiness and the way that he sets up a story and the way that he engages, but more the theme of what he's doing. You know, he's trying to find good in all the world. Whether it's 1 star, he's going to try to find a 5-star experience out of it, right? It's like, there's so many amazing. But for me, I have a son that got off his mission trip, says, Dad, I want to work for you. I'm like, you can't work for me. You can work for one of my companies. You go talk to Justin. Justin's the president of my agency company and coaching program. And he goes, what's my first assignment? I'm like, you're going to study Ryan Trahan. I want you to watch every video, and I want you to see the patterns of what he does. And there's a certain reason. I want you to ask, why did he do that? Oh, it's very interesting. I just lost time, and I just watched 5 minutes, and it felt like 30 seconds. You know, that's where I think the biggest mistake is when new creators coming on. They create content that they think is so amazing, and they don't understand how the viewer is going to receive it. And then two, they're not watching YouTube. They might watch YouTube educational videos, but they should be watching YouTube videos made by the biggest creators on the planet and ask, well, why did they do that? Ooh, they did this twice. Why would they do that? And asking those types of questions.
You know, I also think it's interesting that, first of all, everything you said, it was spot on. And I remember when I was in Channel Jumpstart, and I was kind of in this place where I was kind of stuck. And you said things just like,
not kind of stuck.
Yeah, I mean, I was stuck. Let's just be honest, I was stuck. And I remember like some of these things that are so simple to say, when they click, you're right. Like it opens up things for you that you would never ever come on your own. What I think is interesting is, for a while I was coaching large creators, and I found that, and I would love to hear from you, because I mean, tons of large creators, all the biggest ones on the platform. How interesting it is that some large creators have the same exact problems that small creators have. You'll find a lot of similar questions, like they made it in spite of themselves a lot of time. At least that's been my experience. What's your experience been?
So would you say, or would I say that there's luck involved in YouTube? I would say yes, there's some luck that's involved. However, I would say it's very scarce of when that luck hits. It's more about understanding, whether you do it intentionally or not, understanding value of a video. What generally happens is a video takes off, it gains momentum, and it's what they do next determines if they're going to succeed or not. Okay. The ones that, and I'll use terminology that vidIQ uses, they double down on it.
Right.
They're going to see success. Those that don't are not. Like that, because lightning struck. Can we get lightning to strike again? And so I found the difference between someone that's really performed. They saw lightning hit and they were willing to take another version, another stab at it, but not deviating where it's like so far out where it's not even remotely close to the same, but it's the same value prop and then similar around the topic. And so by doing that, I would say where the most success is. And then two, the tenacity, not giving up. Like these creators, even the bigger creators, they've tried different things and failed. From my point of view, they tried different things and found out that it didn't work, but there's a better way of doing it. And they were able to course correct. And I do believe, even the biggest creators, they're imagining how their video is being consumed. The smaller creators are imagining creating contents for viewers, not visualizing where the viewer is in their journey of the video itself.
That's very interesting. That's a really compelling thing. And
well, there's a story on this. This is like one of the most.
Please, absolutely.
So Mr. Beast had this idea of like, I'm going to give you 1 million subscribers. Okay. And so he had creators come in doing this whole thing and they're around it. And this was also being shot with another video that I was actually producing for him. And we were up at it. So you have all these creators that are kind of around seeing what was happening. And Jimmy stopped because he was at a place where it was eating the world's largest pizza is basically the video that was being done. We had Joey Chestnut coming in and,
cool.
Coming to do that whole thing with him. But it was like getting on the scale and he's like, oh man. And he's stopping. And here's this group of creators that want to make it big on YouTube that are like in their own world. And I went over there. I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing? And they're like, oh, we're just, he's doing his thing over here. We're just kind of talking, whatever. I go, you're missing the most important part of content creation right now because Jimmy's editing in his head and he can't figure out how to do it. And we're stuck.
Wow.
And you realize that that's the difference. That's the X factor of you succeeding or not. When it doesn't make sense, wait, no, we need to have it make sense. Because if not, we're going to derail the whole video. Why are we doing this whole video? Right? And I know Jimmy well enough, if we didn't do it right, he'd scrap the freaking video.
Yeah.
And so like I was going back and it was like brainstorming. I'm like, you guys need to listen up. So they weren't like intruding, but they were listening. And he was like, oh man, so this is what I'm envisioning of where they're at here. This is a huge disconnect. And I go, true, that is a disconnect. But if we did it like this, that would not be a disconnect. It would be good for the content. And he goes, no, that's not it. That's not it. And then he rattled off like 4 things and he goes, okay, got it, shoot. And he just went right into it. And it was just like, that's something that you don't get to see unless you're surrounded by it, right? And for me, that's where I would say that smaller content creators that are coming into it, they're so obsessed with the video that they're putting out that they're missing sight of the most important part, which is the viewer is going to be in the video. Like, we got to capture what we need to get, or we won't have a good video for them to retain. And so that takes time, but the newer creators that I'm working with right now, Gen A, holy crap, they understand it. Like they can make amazing content. We had one kid, 28 days, get 1 million subscribers. And it's like nuts. And you're thinking, oh man, it's all short form. It's not even remotely close. But it's like, the reality is, at the end of the day, is, what is great to consume and where they're at, but more importantly, what is my genre about? Like, I'm not going to deviate from it. I'm not going to have a variety channel, because variety channels do not work on YouTube. Right. We need to be very specific and then bring that consistent value coming in.
Let's talk about, because you said something that really connected with me, and that is being surrounded by other creators. And we're going to talk about that right now, VidSummit. 2019 was the year that I started with vidIQ, and I was lucky enough to be able to go to VidSummit with vidIQ. And it changed my creation forever. And there's one reason why. And whenever I pitch people to go, I say this exact same thing. I say, as a creator, you will never feel more understood than when you are surrounded by other creators. Because in your life, I guarantee when you go to your mom, your neighbor, your friend, and you talk about CTR and how this didn't work, they have no idea what you're talking about. Exactly. They have zero idea. And even they might be nice about it and say, oh, okay, it'll get better. But there's nothing like being next to a random person and saying, how did your last video do? Oh my God, I tried a different thumbnail. And all of a sudden, everything just clicks. I need to understand how that all started. How did VidSummit become created? How did you launch the first one? Because that must have been scary. I'm sure a lot of money was involved. I want to hear that. I want to know the creation story of VidSummit.
You don't know me very well. I'm a bootstrap person, man.
I want to know.
Okay, so for me, I believe that when you receive something, you need to give just as much as you receive. So like for me, I had some amazing case studies on YouTube, and I wanted to share those. And so I would get asked to be a keynote or a speaker at some event. And I just saw during that time, a lot of appetite for what I was doing. I had some amazing case studies. It was just like unbelievable, and people were eating it up, and they're talking about it. And then I had a couple friends that had a flash in the pan success on YouTube. It was just like so fast, had a lot of money, had a lot of attention coming on. And then they weren't treating themselves like a business. They thought I'm a YouTuber. I can do things on my own. I can't sell out or whatever. And they weren't treating themselves like a business. And then they would go away from creating content, something they're passionate about doing, but it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't sustainable for them because they weren't using and leveraging, as a business. They were thinking, oh no, it's about my content creation, and that's what I am. I'm an artist. I'm like, no, you're not. You gotta still sell,
Yeah,
you gotta monetize this thing. And so I saw a big hole, and I'm like, is there a conference out there? So I actually looked for that conference. I want to synergistically bring people to these conferences, and there wasn't one for just a creator in the creator economy, and this is prior to them even saying creator economy. Because what I wanted to do is have opportunity seekers. Okay, I wanted to recreate what happened in Devin Graham's basement, but on a larger scale. Because like in that room, it was billions of dollars. We just didn't know that yet. That was created from the basement of that room. I can guarantee you that, especially now with all the valuations of everything that's going on. So it's like I wanted to recreate that, and so. For me, I'm not one to complain if it's not out there. I'm not like, oh, there should be whatever. I'm like, no, let's make it happen. And so what I do a process, which I pray and I ask God, is this something that I can do? And it was in line with my mission, which is I want to put net positive content on the world instead of net negative. And if I can control the narrative or the platform of inspiring people to create better content, then it's not taking down the world, it's actually helping the world. So I felt really good. And then the second thing is to ask my wife if, because my life is crazy. I'm like, hey, if I add this to my life, are you gonna still be married to me?
Oh my
God. He goes, yeah. But then I did this, Travis. I literally went and I says, we're gonna do a 2-day event. I'm gonna go get a place. We got it in LA. I was in a theater, and I says, I'm gonna do it old school bootstrap, and I'm gonna just invite people that I want to speak, and then I'm gonna try to sell it. Sell the tickets, right? And I just selected the people that I think, oh, I want to learn this from them. I want to learn that from them. I want to learn that from them. Put them on the stage. And then we had 76 people, including the speakers, show up. And some of the first people were like Sean McKnight, Brooklyn and Bailey, which they have cute girl hairstyles, and Brooklyn and Bailey, and their whole empire from there. We had Chad Wild Clay, which he has a huge empire over here. We had Joey and Team Edge. They were there along with Matthias, who was kind of the ringleader of that. We had just a lot of people that were just interested in the creator economy. Owen Video was there for day, the first one. So here we had, and I can honestly say we didn't throw a lot of money at it. In fact, we made money at it, but it was just like enough to cover costs. Like if you were to say my time and energy and effort, no, we lost money, right? No, but I was willing to invest in that, my time, because I saw the vision. Now, the difference was I wanted to make millionaires out of that room, out of the 76. I wanted people to see, wait, no, we need to treat this like a business, not just create content. And here's some business assets that we need to do. We need to be able to build a team. We need to be able to focus in on this, and this, and over here on that. And so that was the first case study. We actually had, this is crazy, but we actually had a client of mine come, Moonbug. Okay, they do Coco Melon. They literally showed a video that was consumed 1 billion times, and they showed the numbers, of what was going on. It's like, come on, guys, there's a lot of great stuff. And so at the end of the day, that's how it started. And then all we did was put it on the next time. Who do I want to learn from this year? And I did that. And then we just invited people to come, and we doubled the amount of people there. It wasn't that big, but every year we just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until we had the right people in the right room with the right size. So we don't want to be the biggest conference in the world, because that would take away from the culture that we've created. And we just want creators being willing to share what they know with people and don't care about where they're at in their journey, because we're all colleagues coming in. And I would say the biggest thing for me, and it was like it was a turning point for me within VidSummit, is when I invited a keynote speaker and he got on stage, and this is like top 5 biggest YouTuber of all time, right? And then he went and answered questions out in the hall for about an hour, and then came in for another presentation, was taking notes. And I'm like, that is the most beautiful thing. He gave everyone the same thing up there on the presentation, personalized it for some, and then came in and got value out of the next presentation. And so for me, that's what VidSummit's about. It's about the culture of the people that are willing to give, and then 2, give a platform for people that don't normally have a platform to share about their expertise, because they don't have a platform for that. And so giving them that opportunity is how VidSummit. And so we're in our 12th year, and I can honestly say last year, well, the last 2 years were the best I've ever experienced VidSummit. But I think last year it was, we have arrived. Like I felt like it's mature enough. We have our fan base and our cultural base, people like you, that can't imagine not being there. And then we started to see more sponsorship alignment, which we've always been barren on that side, because we're very boutique. We're not going after the general audience, and so that excludes a lot of people. And I think the creator economy is matured enough where they understand what VidSummit and the value it can bring. And so I think just this last couple of years is just, I feel like we've arrived, and this year is no different. We've already sold out 4 hotels.
Oh my gosh.
And we usually do that the week before or whatever, but it's gone, and we have a bigger footprint this year. It's where we're going to cap ourselves. But realistically, I'm really excited, for people to experience. And if you can't go, that's why we do the virtual ticket. But I'm here to tell you, the virtual ticket is only as good as the presentations on stage, and they'll be top notch. They'll be world class. But it's the conversations after watching that presentations is where the aha moments come. And so I want to say this: if you want to succeed on YouTube, you don't need to come to VidSummit. You don't need to buy the virtual tickets. But you do need to surround yourselves by people that understand and are smart and are trying things and testing things, and you got to share. So like if you want to grow on YouTube, you have a higher probability if there's 3 or 4 of you just everyday meeting and trying to improve, not where it takes your whole time, but like, hey, let's do an hour here and let's learn from each other. What worked, what didn't work, what are you testing on? I'll try the same thing. Is great. And I do believe if you want to create that group, the best place to create that group is at VidSummit, because these are the people that get it. They might be at a different part of their journey, but I can tell you some of the biggest creators that no one knew about found the aha moment at VidSummit, surrounded them by people they met at VidSummit, and now they're basically doing case studies about these people.
You absolutely have to go. If you don't know, vidsummit.com, there's information there. Basically, it's you can go watch a bunch of large creators and people, thought leaders in the space.
Yep.
Give a bunch of different speeches, but like Derral said, and it's always been the thing that I've tried to explain to other people who've never been, the magic is in between those things, and the friendships you make, the connections you make, have been absolutely remarkable. Now, the last time I was in LA, I think there was about 1,000-ish or so people, but as soon as I went to Dallas, oh my God, we became like a rock star thing. What was going on? How many people were there?
We had a couple issues in California. One was it was very, very expensive because of the unions and all that other stuff from there. And then 2, regulations from California was tough.
Yeah.
But we actually had, my whole thing is you have to be really close to an airport. Really close, right? And we were at LAX, and it's like that's the largest that we could do. We exceeded capacity. We had the fire marshal says, nope, you can't do anymore. And so they'd always cut us off. But we had the demand, and so we just figured, let's go to a bigger venue. And we tripled the size of it. And that's where we're staying. We're not going to get any bigger than that. It's like the capacity of where we're at will always be that, because if we go bigger, we're going to lose sight of what makes VidSummit special, which is it's big, but it's small at the same time.
I agree with this.
So
I absolutely agree with that. So if you're new and you've never heard of it, go to vidsummit.com. You can see some of the virtual passes if you want to see previous VidSummits. Just got to get a vibe for it. If you can invest in it, and it can be spending depending on where you live. If you live in the Dallas area, go. Hello, what are you doing? But if you need to fly there, think about it, invest in it. I think it's actually one of the things that if you're really, truly committed to making this work, could be one of the most life-changing experiences of your life. And I am not sponsored by that. I'm just telling you my story.
Travis, let me give you a perfect example of this. So our last year in LA, this 17-year-old girl was graduating high school, and it was her senior year, right? And anyway, she says, you know what? I want to go to VidSummit. And so she looked in her bank account, and she had just enough to buy a ticket and then buy a Spirit Airlines ticket from Florida all the way to LA. And so she went to her mom and says, hey, this is what I want to do. And she goes, you're not going on your own, Missy. This is not happening.
Yeah, right?
She had to buy her mom a ticket to go with her.
Gosh.
And here she was. And then she literally says, I had 100 subscribers. I just want to be surrounded by the people that are there. I want to do this for a living. I'm all in. And so she spent every dollar of her savings account to go. And, I can only imagine what the parent discussion was. And she told me, and her mom was like, is this the best use of your time? Don't you want to do college or whatever? Like literally you're spending the money. And then her mom, is very frugal, looking at coupon deals, like, it's pretty expensive ticket. But she went there and she was able to find an editor. She was able to find someone to help her with thumbnails. She found a group of people that they wanted to talk every day. That all happened there. But what really happened was she was selected to go on stage because I wanted to mentor some creators. And I just gave 6 tickets away to my mentoring program called Channel Jumpstart, and she was one of them. And you might ask, well, why 6? Well, 1 out of 6 just pops off. Like I'm telling you, I got the data. The data doesn't lie. 1 out of 6, just boom, they just go out of nowhere, whatever. And I said from the floor or from the stage of VidSummit, one of these individuals on the stage is going to be keynoting the next year. Well, sure enough, that 17-year-old that came was one of those that was selected. And she went through my Channel Jumpstart system. She was the keynote the next year with 2.5 million subscribers.
Jeez.
Now, the cool thing about the story is she was able to do it, right? And it was awesome. And it's Ginny Hoyos, if you know who that is. And she was able to come out of nowhere and do this whole thing. But the thing that I'm the most proud of, more than anything, just to mentor her, was her mom that was resistant to coming on, started her own YouTube channel and has over 1 million subscribers.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. What kind of a story is that? My goodness.
It's so great. So yeah, the VidSummit's where it's at. I know it's a little pricey, but it is really pricey to put it on.
You're
I'm not here to tell you.
You're investing in yourself.
Yeah.
Again, if you can't make it, Derral's already given you tips for that. One more thing before we go to the questions. I remember when I was in Channel Jumpstart, which again, you can find, is it channeljumpstart.com?
Yeah, channeljumpstart.com.
If you're interested in Channel Jumpstart, which is kind of a, I don't want to, you tell people, how would you describe Channel Jumpstart?
Yeah, so Channel Jumpstart's my system, the system that I correct the code on YouTube, per se. You can find every detail of that in the YouTube formula. It's a best-selling book. Just go look for YouTube formula. Everything that I teach in my mentoring program is there. I just can't go deep. I can't go as deep. And so we have a mentoring program that I teach you my system, and it's 12 weeks, and it's very actionable. Like every week there's assignments to do, and there's an accountability group that says, hey, because there's synergy. That's why we have accountability groups. Hey, we want to make sure you're doing stuff. We want to increase the probability of you succeeding. And so there's always weekly assignments, weekly follow-up, and then weekly Q&As with me where I jump on and answer their questions and help them connect the dots that they don't see based on the experience that I have. So we've been doing that for quite some time. And then after that, we have an alumni group of people that they come on and share too. They kind of help. You know, we have our own internal community where they can roast thumbnails and titles and all that other stuff, but it's like based on the principles that I teach. So
that's when I was in that process, which I loved. You had talked about this thing, The Chosen, that you were going to do. And I didn't really know exactly what it was at the time. You kind of talked a little bit about it, but hadn't even started. And then I remember you posted on Twitter or something that it had gone, you know, it was out there. And I remember I was like, I gotta get around to watching that. Then one of my friends pinged me a couple of months later and he goes, I'm watching this show called The Chosen. It's great. I go, I have a friend that's like a producer on that. Like he's the guy for that. So I figured I would watch it. So I went over there, I watched it with him, and I was blown away. And again, I'm not saying it's just because if I didn't like it, I just wouldn't bring it up.
of course,
I literally was blown away because it's shot as if it's like Game of Thrones. Like the quality is insane. The acting is great and it's interesting. The thing I'm concerned most about it, because it is a story of the Bible, is that sometimes when you watch content like this, it's either too preachy or it's too complicated or you don't get or you don't even connect with the people. My goodness, I was binging a show about the Bible, which just goes to show that Derral has cracked it, because storytelling can get you to watch anything. How did this come to be? Where did this thing come from?
VidSummit, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. So a guy saw a short film and he's like, dude, I need Derral to see this. Like he had this whole thing. I could partner up with him and he could make this happen. They did develop an audience, whatever. And so I want Derral to see it. So I saw this short film and I noticed a couple of things. Number one, super low budget. And I'll give anything a pass, super low budget. I'm like, hey, they're trying to tell a story. But within 3 minutes, I was sucked into the show. Like I was sucked in to care about the character. And I'm like, wait, what just happened? Like I literally said that. What just happened? Right. And it was so intriguing and I was very curious on, and I'm like, I got to meet the guy that made this. And so after VidSummit, I flew and met up with this guy and he's like, hey, I've been trying to make this TV show. Nobody's ever wanted to fund it. And we've been trying it forever. And you know, it's like this. And I says, well, okay, you're talking about content, so we need to stop right now. What is the best TV show of all time? And he goes, you know, Breaking Bad, The Wire.
I love Breaking Bad. I love Breaking Bad. It's incredible.
Yeah, Breaking Bad, The Wire. I'm like, okay, Vince Gilligan. Okay, we're set.
Let's go.
You know, I think Vince is so amazing, especially his whole thing. And The Wire's that raw, you know, real kind of authenticity, right? And he goes, have you ever thought of Breaking Bad, but for Jesus?
Wow.
You know, and I'm like, whoa. And then he shared with me what he wanted to do, which was, I want to tell Jesus's story, not through the eyes of Jesus, because that's what everybody's done.
Right.
and I can't relate to Jesus. Like I can't. But I want to see it through the eyes of those that surrounded him, those that he called, and they're human and they're going to have human interaction. But what Breaking Bad is decision making. Here out of desperation, Walter turns into Heisenberg.
Right.
And it wasn't overnight. It was about decisions of how that demon started to creep in until he became the demon, right? Well, this is different in the sense that we're able to see how people are as Jesus interacts with them personally, and then their transformation after that moment or whatever that may be. And so it was a very beautiful time. And so he says, let's do it. So I do two things. Like I said, I pick up the phone, I called the wife, says, hey, we're going to start a new venture. What are we doing now? And I'm like, we're going to create a TV show. Okay. And I had some experience in TV. I've helped done quite a bit with NBC and NBC Sports, and did some stuff with other TV shows. And she goes, okay, what are we going to do? And I'm like, well, it's a TV show about Jesus. She goes, okay,
all right.
What's go wrong on that? So I turned to him, let's partner up. We can build this up from the ground and go from there. And he goes, well, how are we going to do it? And we're like, we're going to crowdfund. And he's like, oh. But through that and through the people that we gather in that first moment, not only to bring the first original investment in to do all these things, but we broke the all-time crowdfunding in film and television.
Wow.
And along the way, all we did was the influencer model. So everything that I teach, this is even like a case study in my book of showing how we use The Chosen and how we developed the audience even before it came out, and develop the very strong brand of what it is today. And so the cool thing is this, and Travis, this is kind of the master plan that was just barely introduced publicly, so I can finally publicly say this. But in season 3, we went into theaters. No TV show goes into theaters. Yeah. Okay, we did that, and we did a toe in the water is what we call it. It's like just an experience that they can have to say, is this even valid? So we did a Christmas special. And we showed that first original show that I watched that impacted my heart, and then we put some music around it, and it was massive. We were #1 in the box office out of everything for 2 weeks, and it's just like, oh my gosh! And we were like limited theaters too, which is nuts. And so for us, it was like we can do it, and we did it again with a bonus episode around that, and then the third time we're like, well, let's now try a season. And so we were able to break it up where they can watch the season, a portion, maybe the first 2 episodes, the last 2 episodes, whatever. But this last year was season 5, and we've done it a few times in season 3 and season 4. But season 5 was strategically planned where it was a 3-parter. And we put 3 different, pieces in the theater. We do 8 episodes, but we combined it where it was 3 here, and then so it equaled out to 8 in 3 parts. But it was around the last week of Jesus, like it was around the Last Supper, and kind of intertwined from there. And what's crazy is we like this TV show not only did #1 in the box office, but we were over $100 million in box office receipts.
That's crazy.
Like that's so great. A TV show. Okay?
Yeah.
And then the whole game plan was this: we need another streamer to come on. So we closed the deal with Amazon. We closed the deal with Netflix, and Amazon is our distribution partner in the U.S. and some territories there. And then we have a Netflix deal where it's everything done, because we have 120 languages that we've created this content in, because we believe in localization. But the master plan's this. Season 6, which we're in production right now, Dallas has always had the idea was, what if we actually did a standalone feature film as a part of the season? So you'd have 6 episodes, and that would be the season. And then we have a space of time, and then we release something that you don't need to be caught up on the show on, which is The Chosen Crucifixion. So like we're showing the crucifixion as a feature film, and it was very well written. But it ties in because it's the last 2 episodes of a TV show, but it is meant to be consumed as a movie. Wow. And right now, that's what we were trying to develop an audience for, and we've broken box office records, not just in the U.S. but worldwide. And it was prepping our audience for this cultural moment that we can have. And that cultural moment is going to be around the crucifixion. And then the first 2 episodes in season 7, which will be our last season, will be the resurrection. So we'll show that as a feature film. And then we'll have a lot of learnings from that one prior. And then we'll have 6 episodes, and then we'll be done with the series.
I got to be honest, we could literally do an entire podcast about the strategy behind that. Maybe we will in the future, because that's fascinating to me.
It is by far the most disruptive strategy you'll ever seen, because we were self-funded. We didn't have someone telling us what we could do. We just wanted to see what worked.
Yeah.
And we were willing to try things that no one would be. They're usually like, you're insane to doing that. Now, everyone's like, oh man, look what Chosen did. We can do that too.
Do that.
You know? Yeah.
All right, we're going to finish up the show by doing a couple of questions. So if you're a listener here and you know what we're going to get to next, you've been sending in messages. And while none of you knew that you had an opportunity to get your question answered by Derral Eves, some of you I've picked, and you are lucky enough, because I'm going to tell you something. This guy's hard to nail down. And a lot of people want his time. His DMs are probably swollen right now as we speak.
It's pretty bad, yeah.
I'm pretty sure your text messages are blown up. But for us, for the listenership here at the vidIQ podcast, we got Derral Eves to answer some of your questions. And here they come. You have 2 different ways you can send us questions, as you have every single week. If you're listening to the audio podcast, of course, there's a little button there that says send us a text message. And that's where this first one comes from. It's a text message. And it says, hey, long-time listener, had some recent awesome success with a video. Finally broke 100K views for the first time. First of all, congratulations. That's incredible.
Huge.
I mean, if you think about it, 98% of the YouTube channels out there will never hit 100,000 views. That's amazing. I've got a question regarding how to create more quality content in my niche. I make video game development vlogs, dev vlogs for short, where you create a video game and update your community on the progress. People love watching people make their dream video game. And I've noticed a definite trend where the most interesting videos are where most content is added to the game. The problem is, to create content for YouTube, I need to start making progress on my video game. And weeks where development is slow or not as interesting. Do you have any ideas how I can make more content that still reaches the same niche and interests? I'd love to document more of my journey. Thank you. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And what I always do when I'm doing consulting, or if I'm working with a business or a content creator, is like what is your objective? What do you want? Mm-hmm. And based on that result, I would give different advice.
Right.
Now there's 2 things that are happening. Number one, he's making video games. So the first question is, where are those video games being made?
Right.
Is it on Steam? Is it on Roblox? Is it on, Fortnite? Like where is that platform? Mm-hmm. And then 2, I'd be very curious on the type of content that got that 100K views. Was it one video, or was it multiple videos that you got there? Was it 100K views of the video? I would generally say that it's probably 2 videos or less that brought in those views. Like you have maybe that, but something took off. So I would first ask, well, what brought in the views and why, and what's the topic around? And if it's just creating your own video games, I think that's fine. But that being said, it's hard to know because of the video game process. So if it's like Roblox, I'd give different advice that I would do with Facebook, or Fortnite, versus if they're using Steam or whatever and making some crazy random games, or they're using AI to create games. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I need to know that, because knowing what they want to do, because if it's more about, I want more people buying my titles, then there's an activation for that.
Yes.
If it's more, I want to entertain people, we'll also do map building, and we do this, but I can use it to promote my creator code on Fortnite, I'd have a different strategy for that. So this is what we're going to do. I'm very hard to get a hold of, but Travis, I want you to give that person a VidSummit attendee pass.
Okay.
And
okay.
he can answer those questions for me, and I will literally set a time, not during VidSummit, it'll be afterwards, where I can give him a response for that.
That's insane. That is absolutely insane. Because
it's just, I could give an answer, but everybody, I want it to be right.
No,
and
of course.
I need more data on that.
Okay, we got a couple more questions, not many more. One more text message here. I'd love to hear your thoughts on something a little different. I'm not worried about monetization. If it happens, it happens. First of all, that's a very healthy thing. We don't really hear that from a lot of our creators. What matters to me most is helping people. So I also knew you would love this email. While my channel is primarily a gift for my daughters, since it centers around mental health and stability, I'd love for it to reach a wider audience as well. My plan is to record a video each weekend, but only release one a month. The others will stay scheduled in the background. Over time, this could grow into a type of time capsule, something that might last for decades, quietly waiting for whoever needs it. I'd love to know what you think about this approach. I know you won't like mentioning my channel, but I'll edit this part separately, a little talks with Miles. What do you think about something like this? It's almost like it's more for his daughters than it is YouTube in general. But what do you think?
Yeah, so I love how you put your priority down, where it's like, hey, if monetization comes, it'll come when it comes. That's great, right? And then two, it's like you're very distinct on the impact that you're looking for and really helping your daughter. But you're addressing a concern that a lot of people have, and mental health is a big thing in the creator community and in the world right now. I mean, there's all these triggers and stuff, and we lose too many people through tragedy, through that. So it's great to help them, giving the support and also. But that being said, it needs to be about monetization, because the only way that you can sustainably do it is if you're able to sustainably do it. Now, right now, you can shoot on your weekends, you can do all that other stuff, but life comes into it. And if you're not getting the impact that you're doing, then you're like questioning about creating the content, and also who the audience is about. So I would look at, okay, let's make it self-sustaining, where I can have an editor edit, I can have a thumbnail person do the thumbnails, and I just shoot the content and pick the content, shoot the content, and then approve the content. I would love at least the economics that you could do that, right? And getting monetized and getting that's not that difficult. But this is the hardest. This is the hardest niche to crack the code on, because the people you want to impact, most of them won't listen to you because you're a boomer. And you might not be a boomer, but from their perspective, why do I need to listen to this person, right? So it's like a disconnection of the audience. However, if it's to help parents, i.e. you, have the tools to have the conversation, then that's a totally different audience. So if you want to go after the younger audience that they find valuable, you can do it. It's going to be harder to crack the code on that, but it has been done. And I want you to go look up Dry Creek Wrangler School on YouTube, and I want you to the video tab, and then just hit the most popular tab on that, and look at the videos that bring in the most views and have the most engagement on it. And they are a mental health channel, and that's when they take off, is like helping people understand where they're at in their journey, and understanding it's okay. It's okay if you're not like crushing it at 25, right? Or whatever that is. But Dwayne actually calls out the viewer of, hey, I get a lot of mostly male, 18 to 35-year-olds asking me questions or putting in comments, and I'm addressing to them. And then he gives kind of what was been on their mind through the comments. And so you can do that because he's a lot older than what his viewership is. But the difference would be is his is one of the most raw, authentic videos, because he just hits play and he just goes off on a rant. And it's something he's thought about. It's something he's processed, and he wanted to give back and give value into it. And there's no alternative. The goal is to help people, and you can see that, and it's authentic. That's why he has millions and millions and millions of views, and then hundreds of thousands of engagements to those millions of views. It's just like every video is just like massive engagement. And it's because he's speaking to them clearly, and they're like, wait, this is different. And they're looking for advice, but he does it in a way where you know that he's raw and he's real and he's speaking truth. And if you really break it up, he's an old cowboy. And sometimes it's around a campfire. But he's taking a smoke break. It's like, hey, we're taking a break. This is what you get if you're camping with me or whatever, or you're on the farm with me. It's these little bits of wisdom. But go check that channel out. And I would say you got to understand. So if you're going to a younger audience, you're going to need to find someone like that that's appealing to a younger audience and seeing how they're doing. Because if not, there's just a disconnection because of the generation. And some of them just shut it off completely, where it's like, oh, okay, boomer. We don't need to hear from you. But they need the topics, but they also need the empathy of saying, hey, I get it. And I'm wanting to hear to help, but there's no, barriers in front of that.
Love it. Last one is an email. If you want to email us, you can send an email to theboost@vidiq.com. That's theboost@vidiq.com. And this one comes from Scott. Scott says, you are my favorite podcast, Banner Buddies, and always listening to you when I'm traveling. I'm 66 years young and have a successful travel channel. And early this year, I received my 100,000 silver plaque. That's incredible. First of all, hats off. You don't understand how amazing that is. And especially someone who's, quote, over the 30s old. Okay, boomer. He did it. It shows by finding the proper niche, hard work, and taking on board vidIQ advice, almost anyone can do it. My question is, where does YouTube get viewer demographics from? According to YouTube, the vast majority of my viewers are 55 and old and 80% male. This doesn't match the people who come up and say hello to me. Perhaps younger audience are more likely to approach a YouTuber, or the demographics are biased towards an older male audience. Where do these numbers come from? It's so funny you had mentioned this earlier. What do you think about this?
Yeah, so I just view it as a data point that needs to be validated. You know, and so we don't know if it's a joint viewership moment. I don't know how long your videos are, but it could be like a father-son, you know, or father-daughter or mother-daughter, you know, type of viewership. And so they're just probably logging in from the dad's account, but it might be, oh, I watched this with my kid, right? And that happens a lot. I'm here to tell you. So the first thing I'd look for is you got to get more context. You got to see what device type is your most viewed. I would assume it's TV. If it's TV, you have a higher probability of that being a joint viewership. And then the next thing is that people come up with you and say, hey, I watch you. You got to ask the question, are you watching are you still at home? Are you watching with your family?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
You know, where it is? Like, who introduced you to that? Just ask some other questions, and they'll probably fill in the blank. But I can tell you that demographic data is only what YouTube has, and it's based off of their Google profile and the things that they set up and the way that they engage with it. And so some younger ones says, hey, I'm older than 13, and they put 13 in there or 15 in there, and they're really 9, but they keep that same account, and then they come up, and there's an age discrepancy. But there's different ways that you can do it. But I think the best thing to do is, if you're ever seen in the wild, ask as many questions, not creepy questions, but it's like, hey, yeah, what was your favorite video? Like, that's so great. Do you watch it on TV, or how do you consume the video? Just get those little micro questions answered, and it'll give you a better complete picture. But I can tell you this, the biggest viewership on TV right now, bar none, is your audience. The adult content, when I say adult content, I'm not talking adult porno content. I'm talking content that's geared to 55 plus can be the most lucrative because it's a really high target market advertising that's there. And then you're around travel destination, which a lot of these people want to do it as well. And if you're, depending on what your content is, where your value prop is, they're probably not going to learn about a place, but they want to see you discover it and vicariously go through that whole thing. And they just like the way that you tell a story or the way that you pull the stuff in. That's great. But I would be looking at that very specifically. And then the other third thing that you need to do is give me your top 10 videos of all time. And what are the patterns between those top 10 videos that you did on your channel? And what I want you to do, and this might be a little bit over your head, or it might be easy for you to do, but I want you to go into analytics and you go into advanced mode, and you can put those top videos in a group. And you can start separating a little bit, and you can start saying, does this have a different audience than this? Maybe these are the most engaged. What type of data? Maybe it's a different data set. Maybe it's a different traffic source. And when you start understanding that, then you can actually start understanding the intent of the viewer. And that's what I teach. So we gave away VidSummit tickets. I'm going to give this person a Channel Jumpstart mentor.
What?
$6,000 right there.
You are crazy. What is happening right now? All right, well, Scott, I'm gonna email you.
You gotta get to it because we're starting next week. So like, I gotta get his information in.
Right this is wild, Derral. You're incredible.
I can help him crack the code on that, but it's just like the difference would be is, like I love the subscriber stuff, but man, one of my biggest, and I'll share this because this is why I gave this scholarship to this person, which I had someone coming in and he goes, Derral, I'm retiring. I don't have a lot of income coming in. All I have is Social Security. I didn't know that he was going to go in debt to go into Channel Jumpstart. I had no idea. But he did. And his whole goal was to make back his first original investment. So he was like, and it was $6,000. I ain't gonna lie. That's quite a bit for, for some income, households and stuff like that. Absolutely. But he did, he waited 8 months before he did it, but he did. And he saved up enough where he was not able to go completely in debt, but he had some debt that was included on it. And all his goal is he just wanted to make $10,000 a month. That was it. He goes, if I can do that, I can live comfortable because I'm in an RV and I can just go where I want, when I want, making content. And I can tell you that individual coming and learning my system that I teach is done $200,000 a month.
What? I don't even know. I can't even wrap my head around that.
And it's transformed his life.
Yeah.
And he's hitting exactly your same audience. So I know it's possible.
That's insane.
And the difference would be is, you need to have all the fill in the blanks. So Travis, if you could reach out to them, I'd be more than happy. We have that cohort starting, just in a week. So
I'll email them right after this recording. Derral, you've been incredible as always, and generous as always. I've always known you to be a generous guy. People, you can find him. Well, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to guarantee if you've watched a big video or channel on YouTube, you've already seen his work. But you can find him at VidSummit, vidsummit.com, channeljumpstart.com. He's all over the place, all over the world. He's also got his book. Is that still at Amazon? You can still get it?
Yeah. The YouTube formula is on Amazon.
YouTube formula. Go ahead and grab that. And Derral, I thank you so much for joining. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. And I can't wait to see you in the next one. Everyone else, we'll see y'all in the next one. This is something that people don't talk about enough.
Don't subscribe just to subscribe because I don't want you. And the whole point of starting over from scratch is so that YouTube can do its thing in finding my people.
Hey, welcome to the only podcast that comes at you whether it's flooding, that's a personal joke, or it's sunny. I'm Travis here, always here to help you grow your YouTube channel. And I'm here today with a very, very, very special guest. It's not Rob. It's not Dan. It's none of those people. Forget about them. I fired all of them. They're gone. I don't need them anymore. I got hold on. Let me give them a little taste of just your voice and see if anyone who's listening to the audio podcast can guess who you are.
Hello. My name is...
Hey, Eminem, welcome to the show. No, I'm just April Lynn, it's so good to have you here. We're going to talk about all the YouTubery things. I'm super excited to have you. Thank you so much for showing up today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah, and what I hope to happen is maybe even I learned something. I like having people on that have a different, perspective of YouTube, and we're just having a great conversation about things that you've been through in your YouTube journey, which is going to be very helpful for some creators. And of course, some people have sent an email, so we're going to answer some of their questions too and see what their journey is like. But if you're new here, we're here to help you grow your YouTube channel and have fun doing it. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're new on the YouTube channel. If you're listening to the audio podcast, hang tight. We got you. We also have a link in the description of the audio podcast where you can send us questions. And of course, the email for the podcast is up to coming. But before all that, I want to talk to April Lynn about one very important thing. Chocolate or peanut butter? Which is it?
Chocolate. It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
Thank you. We're done. That's podcast is over. That's the right answer. Good job.
But if it does come to peanut butter though, crunchy or creamy?
Well, first of all, I hate peanut butter. It's the anti-jelly. But if I were to do it, I'm kind of a texture guy, so I do like smooth things, but I feel like if you're going to do peanut butter, you need crunch. Am I wrong?
I like it. I agree.
Okay, good. And we're going to get along just fine. I think everything's going to be just fine. All right, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Now, you have had quite the journey on YouTube. First of all, let me ask you, is the channel that everyone knows you from your first channel, the first one you've ever done?
It's not. It's my second.
See, I figured not. And I didn't research that part. I just assumed not because it's very rare to have someone pop off kind of quickly, but then also it's not even just that. It's like the way in which you approach your videos either means that you either A, super studied YouTube before you ever uploaded a video, which most people don't, or B, had experience. So why don't you tell us about that first channel and the experiences you had from that before you started your current channel?
Oh boy. So yes, I started my first channel in July of 2021. So 4.5 years ago? 3.5
Time's
years
not real.
Yeah.
About 4.5 years ago. Yeah.
Crazy. 4.5 years ago. And that was, I had no idea what I was doing. I did not grow up watching YouTube. Before that, I thought YouTube was you either are Mr. Beast or you are Emma Chamberlain, or that's where you go to learn how to change a tire. And that's like all I knew about YouTube until I listened to a podcast episode featuring Ali Abdal.
Always good.
And, you know, he's an incredible productivity YouTuber. And he blew my mind because that was the very first time I realized, wait, you can teach on YouTube. You can educate on YouTube. And I had no idea that that was possible. And from there, because like I've never been a particularly entertaining person. I don't think I'm particularly funny, but I've always been an educator at heart. So I thought, okay, why don't I just start a YouTube channel? I was already in the midst of trying to grow an audience on Twitter, as it was called back in my day.
I still call it Twitter. I don't call it nothing else. It's called Twitter. Don't worry
It's Twitter.
about that.
It's Twitter.
Yeah,
I will
it's
die
Twitter.
on this hill.
Yes.
But it was like especially Twitter back then. And
Yeah.
I was attempting to grow an audience on there, but I was like, wait, if I'm already writing these like long form Twitter threads, why don't I put some of them on video and kind of turn them into YouTube scripts and try it that way? So that was my very first YouTube channel. I really had no idea what I was doing. I was just learning, as I think most of us do, by just searching how to grow a YouTube channel on YouTube and going from there. And my first few videos were a smattering of like, I was trying to start a startup at a time. So it was a little bit of like startup education, a little bit about like internships, because I just graduated from college as well. So kind of like, and my internship experience was a pretty big part of how I was able to get the opportunities that I did after school. So it's like a little bit about internships. But then everything changed when one particular video just hit, and that video blew up. And I think now it's over 600,000 views. Like it got a lot of views very, very quickly. And it was about a particular topic. Don't judge me here. It was late 2021.
Okay.
You might know where this is going.
Fidget spinner? No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
That was earlier. Late 2021, everyone was talking about these things called NFTs.
Yes.
And I didn't know what they were. And I was like, well, the best way to learn is by doing. So let's make an NFT collection, just see what all the hype is about. Because surely it's not as easy as you make an NFT and then you get $1 bajillion.
Right.
So I made an NFT collection. I made a lot of mistakes. I didn't know what gas fees were. It was like a whole thing. And I made a Twitter thread about that experience. That Twitter thread blew up. Made a YouTube video about that experience, and that YouTube video blew up. And the advice that I was given at that time was niche down to blow up. So I was like, okay, I guess this is what my channel is about now, I suppose. So I niched down and had like, you know, a couple of other like 6-figure view videos right in succession right after that, which like led to some pretty, like a lot of growth from the very beginning. But I burned out so hard and so fast because my own internal curiosity about the topic was sated after that one original video. So like, you know, cue existential crisis, cue shutting everything down. And that was the, I guess, experience of my very first YouTube channel.
So I'm glad you brought this up, because every time I talk to a creator, when we talk about content creation and the type of content you can do on a channel, the one thing I always say is just assume whatever video you're doing is going to blow up, and that's what your channel is going to be. Because inevitably, people will try things that are outside of their niche because they see they're trending, and then they'll get there. And I can't tell you how many creators I've talked to that have done that, and they're like, now the only thing I do is that thing, which I hate now, and nothing that I want to do works. And it's great that you literally saw that and you were through that experience, and in a positive way, as far as like a lot of growth in that. But yeah, at some point, if you're not deeply interested in that subject, it becomes a job that you hate, which you can get those anywhere. I mean, there's people hiring all over the place for jobs you could hate. So that's not great.
100%. I feel like ever since that experience, when I was ever talking to my friends about starting a YouTube channel or like advising others, I would always say, yeah, it's okay to experiment, but a question that you should have in the back of your head is always, if this video were to blow up, would I be happy about it? And if the answer is no, don't make the video. Don't risk it. It's not worth it.
It never is worth it. It never is. And I can understand we have a lot of creators that listen to this podcast, some that are very well established, millions of subscribers, some that have thousands of subscribers, and then some that haven't even started a YouTube channel yet, which is interesting to me. I find I'm encouraged by that, because people are now doing research before they start a YouTube channel, and I like that. So I love talking to those people. But by the same token, we see a lot of creators that are just trying everything and anything just to get something to hit. And I'm glad that you have experience and you can speak from experience and say, I've done that. I've been there, done that. Not as great as you might think.
100%. Absolutely. That was not a fun time.
So what happened after that moment? You're like, okay, I'm kind of done with this. What made you consider doing another channel? And then how did you pick the topic, and kind of what did you do there? What was the thought behind that?
Yeah, so I left that channel. At first, I don't think it's it wasn't as quickly as like a, okay, this channel is done. I kind of started, my uploads started to get further and further and
Yeah,
further apart before
been
eventually
there.
I was like, maybe I just don't upload another one.
Yeah.
And kind of took a big break from YouTube, rejuvenated myself,
Mhm.
went back into the startup world for a while, but I
Oh.
really, really, really missed making videos.
Mhm.
I was like, this thing that I had never done before has become something that I've truly enjoyed. So I want to make videos again, but this time it has to be something that I could talk about for a decade and never get tired of. And because of that experience with burnout, I was like, alignment was very like forefront in my brain of like, I am not going to compromise on this alignment piece because I've experienced what that was like. So I made all of the lists of like, okay, these are all of my hobbies and all of my passions and all of the things that I'm good at. And these are all the things that my friends say that I'm good at. And kind of throughout this soul searching period, the thing that I kept coming back to was, ironically and a bit meta, but I was like, man, I love talking about YouTube. I love learning about YouTube. I love talking about YouTube. The
Mhm.
thing that really lit me up was talking with some of my YouTube friends and just like masterminding with them and like breaking down each other's hooks and our titles and our thumbnails and just learning about storytelling. And I was like, dang, this is really, really, really fun. So what if I made a YouTube channel about this? And that's kind of how I started. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not an expert at this. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert at this because I'm not. But at the very least, this gives me something where I can learn about the thing that I really like and then package that in a way that I think is really valuable for others. In the same way that when I was starting out, a lot of these YouTube videos were so useful for me and so transformative to my own YouTube career. I was like, okay, maybe I can play a small role in that for others. So that's kind of how I started this channel.
And it seems like you're kind of smart because instead of having one of your first videos be like, this is how you get big on YouTube, people are like, you have 0 subscribers. Yeah, I don't believe you. You started with like what, editing for beginners, which is great. So you had experience with that. And it's something that even if you don't have these subscribers, you could still be an expert at, or at least someone that could give advice to other people, and it's believable, right? You don't have to have subscribers to be a good editor. So that's smart. That there was a little bit of, were you thinking of it in that way, or did it just kind of happen because you're like, well, I could talk about that?
Oh, 100%. So I actually started, let me pull up my channel real quick.
Yeah.
I actually started my channel with 4 videos uploaded at the exact same time.
Yeah,
So it
love
launched
that.
with those 4 videos.
Mhm.
And the reason why I did that was because, I guess a couple of reasons. One, I think it gave like just like a bigger blueprint, like a bigger footprint. Like there's more opportunities for any one video to get discovered and then
Yeah.
for that to get picked up.
Mhm.
But also it's like creates a bit more bingeability. So like
Yes.
someone watched one video, if I just had the one video, they'd be like, okay, cool.
Right.
But if they
And maybe
had
never come back.
exactly. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to waste that potential versus if I have 4 videos, then if someone watched one and they liked it, they can watch another one and another one. They can maybe binge all 4. And they can help get my views up. They can help get my subscribers up because I want to get monetized and my watch hours up from the very beginning as well. So the first 4 videos on my channel were very much like, okay, how can I give someone, if they were to stumble across one, a really accurate representation of at least what I thought my entire channel would be right from the very beginning. And to your point, I was so scared. Travis, I'm still scared like, of people being like, oh, you know what you're doing. And I'm like, no, I don't think I ever know what I'm doing.
Oh
But
my God.
I was so aware of, okay, one, this is a brand new channel, so there's 0 credibility that I know what I'm doing. 2, the credibility that I have isn't even like, hey, I was a famous, like a rich and famous YouTuber before.
Right.
It was like, no, I had some degree of success for me, but
Right.
that's not everyone's cup of tea.
Right.
And so I very much thought about it in a way of, okay, what is something that I feel like I can genuinely talk about and that I feel knowledgeable about without trying to portray myself as something, anything else than what I was.
Yeah. And that's smart. And I think because it's always weird to me whenever I see like a new YouTube content creator who gives advice, start a channel. I'm thinking, how did you start the channel with any kind of like proof that you can do what you're saying? And by the way, this stuff is not brain surgery. It's pretty easy. Once you understand a couple things, it's fine. Like I was a YouTube coach the first year I was on YouTube. That's ridiculous. That doesn't even make any sense. But then again, I'm obsessive about learning things, so it makes sense for me. But in general, I was literally telling people who had millions of subscribers what to do, and I didn't even have 100,000 subscribers at the time. It's like, what am I doing? So but it's not that difficult. Having said that, the strategy that you gave was actually really smart. And I think any channel that wants to start off, because again, we have a lot of people listening who have not even started their channel yet, need to think about that. Like, what kind of value are you giving right off the bat that's believable? Now, that doesn't mean that, quite frankly, probably most of the people listening to this podcast could start any channel and be a subject matter expert in like gardening or something. Like how do I know just because you don't have subscribers you're not a good gardener? You might be a great gardener or a great video game player. Like they're not directly connected. But what I like about this example is that it shows like the worst case scenario. Like you're literally on the platform, you're telling people how to grow, and you just started, and it's like, bro, but trust me. And that's a hard thing to do. So being strategic with your launch content, I always say 3 to 4. I'm 100% on board with you on that. I've been giving that advice for years. It's 100% correct. And having the different options for people to connect to your content is great. The other thing is like you said, if someone came to the one video, they don't know you're ever going to upload again. There's literally no reason to subscribe or to even check back on you because you had one video. Oh, cool. They uploaded this video a week ago. They will probably never upload again because that is so common on YouTube. So it was really good that you did and gave them at least a couple videos that make sense. Like if I look at this, I see editing tips, how to rank search, beginner's guide to camera confidence, and starting over YouTube. So at the very least, worst case scenario, if I want like camera confidence and I really like that, I can immediately go to the editing video to see how to edit that right afterwards. Like it makes sense. Like those connect. So you've created a natural binge session. If after those 2 videos, I just kind of like your personality, I'm jiving with you, I'll just watch the third one just because I'm like, oh, I want to see more content from her. She seems pretty cool. So super smart. So after those first 4 kind of went up, what was your experience of that? Now, when we first started this podcast channel, a lot of the features that are available on YouTube now didn't exist. And I very distinctly remember uploading a couple of videos and it got 1 impression for the first like 24 hours. Not view, impression.
Wow.
For 4 videos that were uploaded.
Wow.
Impression. Again, not views, impression. So, but what was it like for you for the first week or so of uploading? Because you had this other channel that had been pretty successful and it was like starting all over again can be very humbling. What was that like?
So I will say a couple unique advantages.
Yep.
The main one was I did not upload this to no one. I will say, because I did have that little bit of like a Twitter audience that I was building at that time. And so I told that Twitter audience, hey, I'm starting a new channel. And so I was able to, I think, like get my first maybe 100 subscribers just from that, which was great.
Yeah.
I did also very intentionally not tell the old channel that I was starting this new channel.
I love that.
Because I knew that like the reason for starting over on a brand new channel versus just, a lot of people ask me, hey, Lynn, why didn't you just pivot that old channel that you had into something that you want to talk about? It's like, because the audience is not the audience that I want. And I knew that there's no guarantee that any pivot is going to go successfully. So if I'm going to take the risk, I might as well just take the risk on a clean slate versus take the risk trying to pivot something else. So I didn't tell them at all. So even though I had maybe 22,000 subscribers who, could have gone over here, I was like, nope, let's just talk to the core fans who are probably following me on Twitter who might want to do that. So I would say that's kind of where the start was. And from there, I was like, okay, that was kind of my first week. Let's upload this. I think the couple people that I was able to bring that way, some were helpful, some were not helpful. I think like as always, you kind of have some people who are like, okay, I can tell you that this is going on, but if you're not in my correct audience, you might send, quote unquote unhappy signals to the algorithm. But I think I was also very intentional in telling anyone that I did kind of bring over here of like, hey, this is exactly what my channel is going to be about. So if you want to support this and support this journey and you're interested in this, go for it. But if you're not, don't subscribe just to subscribe because I don't want you.
Right.
Because I don't need that. And like the whole point of starting over from scratch is so that YouTube can do its thing and finding my people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So good. So smart. And really, the funny thing is people forget that YouTube invests hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in trying to get the algorithm to work to find new viewers. So why not help that part of it and believe that they are actually spending money to help you? I mean, really, they're helping the viewer, but in a way, they're ending up helping you. So trying to do all these other shenanigans and stuff and hoping that like you put in the right keyword and it's going to work. Listen, doesn't work that way. So I love that you just kind of committed to that. So 100,000 subscribers I mean, obviously you're above that, but I want to focus on 100,000 in about 40 videos or less, which is an ridiculous number. Like 100,000 subscribers with about 40 videos. Maybe 30, I don't know. That's wild. That's crazy. Where was the tipping point where things started to really catch on and pick up, and what were your thought processes behind that? Because it's not like you upload every day or anything.
Very far from it. So to talk about how I got to 100,000 subscribers, we have to first talk about how I got monetized.
Okay.
Because, you have to start there, right? You need to get monetized first, or at least, hit your 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 watch hours. And starting from scratch, it was humbling. Even though it technically wasn't from scratch, still starting with 100 people, humbling.
Yes.
And there was a lot of fear in my head as well of like, how can I even say I can talk about this if I'm not able to do it successfully again? Was the first time a fluke? And just, all of those concerns that you have and those, those fears. And yeah, it was hard. So my strategy from 0 to monetized was as follows. 1, as we talked about, upload with 4 videos. After that, I uploaded weekly. I uploaded every single week, and I was working with an editor at that time, which was the same editor that I had used for my previous channel. And that happened for a few videos, maybe like, I want to say 12 maybe videos. And then after that, I was like, this isn't working. I have been at it for, I think that was maybe 3 months into it. I was uploading weekly, and I was like, I'm not growing nearly anywhere as quickly as I want to be. If anything, my views are going down from my first 4 videos. I'm like, that's not where you want to be.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this isn't working. Let's change strategies. And that's when I started on my 90-day monetization challenge. I was like, okay, I'm going to declare publicly, I am going to do everything I can to get monetized in the next 90 days, in the next 3 months. And my strategy at that point was, let's ramp up uploads. Instead of uploading once a week, let's upload 3 times a week.
Whoa.
And I know. And the goal was, okay, let's do 2 normal videos and 1 build in public video where I kind of, I'm going along this journey. Let's share that. I'm a big believer in the power of getting people to root for you.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think that there's a lot that comes from just putting yourself out there and just giving people something to root for.
Yes.
Those challenges are just, and even if they're a community post and not actual videos, like those can be huge. Just like, let's make this a thing. And that was the goal. I did that for the first 2 weeks. And after that, I was like, oh, this is too much. But specifically, I remember I was making a video about kind of like some of Mr. Beast's top advice. And there was one particular interview from Mr. Beast, something that he said really resonated with me, which was he was saying that a lot of mistakes that small YouTubers do is they make so many videos one after the other, after the other, after the other. And they're not really thinking about how they can improve with every video. And I was like, wait a second. I have gotten to the point where I think in the first few videos, I was like improving. I also took back my editing myself again from my editor because I was like, the only way I can do this as quickly as I am is if I don't have that turnaround time, if I just do everything myself. So I had taken all the editing back in myself. I was learning a lot, but then I reached a kind of point where I'm like, I can look at my video and see things that I would improve if I had more time, but I'm not giving myself the time to be able to improve them. So then this quantity is actually hurting me because I'm learning things that I don't have the time to be able to implement what I'm learning. And so at that time, I was like, okay, let's slow down. Let's go back to 1 upload a week, like 1 main upload, 1 like side upload a week. And I kind of did that for a couple of times. And I was like, there's this one other video that I'm really thinking about. It's going to take me a little bit longer. I spent 2 weeks working on that single video. And that video ended up being the video that was my big break on my channel. My most viewed video on my channel, over 1.4 million views. And Travis, it was so funny. This was also like maybe 2 weeks before VidSummit. And it was my very first VidSummit that I was going to. I think this was in 2023. And I remember it was 2 weeks before, and I think I had less than 1,000 subscribers. And it was just like, it was a couple of weeks before VidSummit. And I was really nervous for it because I'm like, this is my first VidSummit and I had really wanted to go, but I was like, is it even worth going if I'm so small that I feel embarrassed to talk to anybody because I feel like no one's going to take me seriously? And I was DMing my friend Jake Thomas, who does lots of like title stuff for you with YouTube, and I was like, hey Jake, do you think it's possible for me to go to VidSummit with 10,000 subscribers? And he was like, well, your next video really has to be a banger. And I was like, it will be. And I walk into VidSummit my very first day with, I think, like 11,000 subscribers, which was crazy. It was crazy that it all just happened like that. But yeah, that was the video that was my breakout video. That was the video that got me monetized. And I think that was kind of the turning point for me in my road to 100K.
What was it about that video do you think connected so deeply with people that they wanted to watch it?
I think that video, there were a couple of main things about it. The biggest one that I have to talk about first is the packaging, and specifically the thumbnail. That thumbnail, I've seen so many people do their version of this thumbnail format since the making of this video, and that was really interesting to me because that was the like one part of the video that like I had almost no inspiration from. I had never seen a thumbnail like that before.
Oh, really?
And I think that's super rare because most of the time, I'm sure you give this advice as well, I do as well. It's like, okay, find outliers, find videos that have worked really well before, put your own spin on it. And this is part of that video. I'd say that video, I took a lot of direct inspiration from this video from John Dorman that he did at the time that I loved. And it was like, I think it was like how to make a killer YouTube video to blow up your channel or something along those lines. And I loved a lot of the style of his. I loved like his way of speaking, and I loved that framing. And so I was like, okay, what if I do that, but just talking about intros? Why intros specifically? Well, in a previous video about how Mr. Beast solved YouTube, one of the most viewed parts of the video and where it had a lot of comments, like aha comments from, was specifically when I was talking about how Mr. Beast approached his intros. So I was like, okay, it seems like a lot of people are interested in intros. What if I made an entire video about intros? So that's kind of where the topic of that came from, and the angle from the outlier inspiration, and then the, I would say, novelty and remarkability of a thumbnail format that I had never seen before, and that I've certainly never seen in the YouTube strategy niche before. So all of that kind of came to this perfect storm of that particular video.
I love it. And the packaging can be so important. You went over a bunch of things we've recently talked about on podcast episodes. So that's great. And also for people who don't know, so here's something else you might not know, April Lynn. We take for granted some of the jargon in on YouTube. I know this because I've gotten emails about it. For example, one of the very first emails we got when we did the podcast was they didn't know what 1 of 10 meant. So I'm going to say that outliers is maybe something that people don't understand. So let's just say that real quick. And by the way, if you want to see some great outliers, you can install the vidIQ tool. I know you probably already know this. We have a great outlier tool. Outliers are the videos that do happen overly normal. They exceed the normality of any particular channel, usually a lot more videos, some 10 times, 100 times the views or whatever. We have a tool that actually does that. There's a link in the description below and in the show notes. Download that for free and find out what outliers are in your niche. And figuring out outliers are really important, especially for smaller channels. So I don't necessarily look for Mr. Beast's outliers. I look for channels that have like 2,000 subscribers and 30,000 views. That's what I want, because they fought against the algorithm basically in so many ways to break out. That's a bigger breakout than like Mr. Beast getting 100 million views. At this point, that's normal for him. But a 2,000 subscriber channel getting a 30,000 view video, something must be really catchy about that. Title, thumbnail, topics, something about it is really interesting to catch on. So definitely keep an eye on your niche for that. You should definitely be the expert in your niche. Love that. And I guess finally, before we get into some of these other questions, what if you were able to go back in time? Go, April Lynn, listen. April Lynn of about to click publish on your very first 4 videos on your channel. I got some advice for you. Blank. What is it? And this could be from your experience. It doesn't even have to be like, do this. It could be like, expect this. Whatever you think that April Lynn needed to know that she didn't know, that would be great to have known.
I think I probably would have said, stay with it. There were so many times over the last how long has it been now? 2.5 years since starting this channel, where I seriously considered throwing in the towel. Because like, it's hard and videos aren't doing well and you're pouring so much time and effort and energy. And I was pretty much full-time on YouTube since the very beginning of this. Like my journey, I will say, is very unorthodox. Like, I left my Wall Street job. I had about like a year of runway myself, and that's when I started my first channel. But when I started this one, yeah, it's like I didn't have another full-time job behind me. Like, I was doing this full-time. And the very first year I made, I think, like, top line, so this is before expenses or anything else, I think the channel brought in $33,000
That's before taxes.
before taxes.
So that's another thing, by the way. People who aren't
anything.
monetized don't realize this. They don't tax your income. I mean, you're going to have to pay taxes on it. But when she says $33,000, she means that's what she got gross. You need to hold back your taxes. This is something that people don't talk about enough.
Yes.
And people go into this thinking that what they got paid from YouTube is what they get to keep.
No.
Nah, bruh.
No. And that was like all in terms of all revenue sources. That was AdSense, that was sponsorships, that was affiliate, that was everything.
Yeah.
And that was devastating to me, because I was like, man, I left a Wall Street job for this. Like, this was the thing. And that fear of, oh my gosh, like, is this, you work so hard for so long for less pay than what you would have done if you just stayed in your 9 to 5. And there were so many different times. I mean, like, logistically, thoughts of giving up. I think emotionally, thoughts of giving up. Friends coming, friends leaving YouTube, and just all of that doubt and uncertainty. And I think if I were to go back to like baby April Lynn, as she was uploading her first 4 videos, just like, stay with it, because now if things are beyond my wildest dreams of where anything could have ever gone. But it's definitely not easy, and it's definitely not linear.
It's exponential at times, and at other times negatively exponential. And it's funny you say this, because we had a guy on recently, Robin from Nomad Push, an incredible channel. I love that channel. And he said the same thing. Like, I mean, his channel is absolutely exploding now, but he had moments where he was like, maybe I should just quit this. Like, this is not working. And I think we all have, even when we hit quote success, that can still creep up. And I just think that it's something you should be prepared for as a human being, because unlike I love, every time I say this, people pop off. So I'm going to give you this example. Imagine going to work at your normal 9 to 5, and they say, we need you to work 80 hours this week, but you're only going to make the same amount of money as you did last week. And you're like, okay, is it going to get better next week? It might get better next week. So you do your 80 hours, you got paid just the same amount. You're like, my gosh, that was rough. You come in the next Monday, they go, we're going to need you to work 120 hours, and you're going to make half of what you made last week. Oh, and by the way, on Tuesday, you're not getting paid. So what? You're not getting paid for Tuesday either. What? So this is YouTube. This is copyright claims. This is algorithm not giving you what you hope you would get. This is CPMs changing out of nowhere. This is what YouTube really is like. Like, that's the real thing no one talks about. If you ever could experience that in your regular life, you might understand how difficult it can be on YouTube. And of course, sponsorships can help that out or whatnot. But a lot of people we're talking to aren't quite at the sponsorship stage yet. So I just think it's something you need to understand, that it's great when you get there, when you kind of quote arrive, but it's never over. It's not over. Like, even for you now, what would you say like your kind of biggest obstacle, maybe even mentally, is for where you are now?
Travis, literally just this last month, I had like a huge existential crisis. One of the biggest that I've had since starting this, of even like, is this for me? Ooh. Is this the right career path? Should I stay in YouTube strategy? Like, all of that. And I'm in a much better place now. Thankfully, a lot of good thinking, but it still happens. And I would say, actually, this might be really interesting for people who are just starting out. So this year, I kind of low-key achieved all of my dreams. Nice. Which is very, very cool. Like, how often do you get to say that? And, I'm looking at like my vision board that I created before, and it's like, man, everything here is true. I was even trying to create a new vision board, and I was like, I don't even know what to put on here, because everything I could think of, like, I already have. And At first, it felt great. It felt amazing. I was like, yes, I've done it. I've proven this to myself, to my parents, to others. Like I did it. I mean, for the first time in my life, I felt successful, which, I mean, I think that there's like a range to success for sure, but I feel like I finally got to the point of that lower range of successful. I'm like, oh, I feel successful. It was also like the hardest year of my life. It was the most stressful year of my life. I felt like I was a worse friend and a worse partner and a worse family member. And what I didn't expect was towards the end of this year, all of my motivation to create died.
Yes.
Like it was gone.
Been there.
I was like, where is this coming from? And I thought for a long time about this. And what I realized is, sure, when I started this for passion and for love of the game, but there were a lot more external motivators that I was relying on than I realized existed.
Yeah.
And so when I got to the point where I was like, oh, I feel successful, more money doesn't really motivate me anymore, more subscribers doesn't really motivate me anymore, even like more status or recognition among my peers, I feel good about, that doesn't really motivate me anymore. And I realized, what does motivate me now if all of these external motivators that used to motivate me no longer drive me? And that's really when I had to go back and like, okay, what are the internal motivators that are here? Like, why, apart from all of that, why do I want to do this? And really like peeling back the layers and getting back to that internal why was the thing that kind of pushed me out of the existential crisis to like continue going. But I just think that that's really important, because I think that if you just get started purely for like the external motivators, then maybe one day you make it. Maybe one day you do it. What comes after that?
Right.
I don't think people ever think about that. They're like, oh yeah, I'll make it and then I'll live happily ever after. And it's like, no, you'll make it, you'll feel great for a couple of months, and then afterwards you'll be like, crap, there's no reason for me to do anything anymore. And then you're gonna be really sad. So I think it's like, just as long as you have that internal why from the very beginning, even if it gets buried sometimes, as long as it's still there to uncover later, I feel like that's one of the best things that you can do for sustainability long term.
I mean, you literally explained some things that have happened to me in my content creation journey as well. Like a lot of the motivation stuff stopped for various reasons. I certainly had to hit all the things that I'd wanted to hit initially. And you're right. Like when you get to the top of the mountain, then what? You're looking down at the mountain. You go, okay, now I got to get down from the mountain. Now when you're at the bottom of the mountain, you're like, I don't want to climb any more mountains. I'm too old for this. I don't want this.
Yeah.
So you need to internally come up with like new motivating things. It could also just be your viewership. I think my viewership, the only reason I ever upload anytime at all ever anymore, other than for vidIQ, is because someone will say, hey, we haven't heard from you in a while. I'm like, okay, I mean, all right, I'll do it. But the thing is, internally, I want to do it. That's very difficult to, and I'm still struggling with it personally. Like on my personal stuff, I actually still struggle with that. So it never really goes away. People are like, well, what if I get to 100,000 subscribers? I'll be great forever. No, you won't. No, you won't. You think you will, but you won't. Yeah. So what do you think is the most common small creator problem that they're creating for themselves? In other words, they think something is true that may not be as true, or they're holding themselves back by thinking this. What is that general thing? It doesn't have to be hyper specific. It can just be like a feeling.
Yeah, I guess I'll give you one example. I would say like one case that I typically see a lot, and it's specifically related to like niche or what people's videos are about. And I get it. I think that there's this push and pull between, oh, like I want to experiment, I want to figure out what I want to do, but then also the like, okay, I want to do what works. And I think I see, I don't really love using the word niche because I feel like, what is niche? Niche is a little bit nebulous. I like using the term lane, which for me is a combination of three things, which is your audience, which is like who you're making videos for, your value, it's like what value you're providing that audience, and your formats. It's like how are you providing that value to that audience. And those combination of those three things I like to call your lane. And the mistakes that I see a lot of small creators make that are holding them back are either they're changing their lane way too quickly, where every single video almost is like a completely different lane. Either they're significantly changing what type of value, or significantly changing their audience, or significantly changing their format. And it's like, okay, if you change your lane too many times, then your audience is not going to be able to predict who videos are for. They might like one video but not like the next, which means that they won't watch the next, which means that you're not building momentum. So that can really hold people back.
Yep.
I feel like a lot of people know this. But the other thing that I really see is people not changing their lane enough, where they'll make the exact same type of video over and over and over and over and over again. And then they'll be like, hey, I uploaded consistently for a year and I see nothing. And you look back and it's like every video you made was basically the exact same thing. And it's like, okay, there's no, I like to say that every video should be either different or better than the one that came before it. And so you either are choosing your lane. It's like, okay, let's make it better, 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 better. Or you're like, this lane isn't working. Let's try a different lane. Let's make it better, 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 better. So I think like those are the two fault points that I see a lot of small creators make.
Gosh, I love that. So good. So good. Never heard anyone say it like that. It's really, really well done. And we have a couple of questions from, I think one's just a comment, but a couple of questions from people who email. And by the way, if you're listening to the audio podcast, you want to send a question. Sometimes I'll answer. Sometimes I'll have someone else answer. You can do that. If you're listening to the audio podcast, there's a link in the show notes that allows you to text message us. And this first one actually is a text message. And I believe it's, oh no, this is an email. Email, theboost@vidiq.com. If you want to send us an email, this is from Chris. Hey, Travis, you've read out many of my emails before, but this is different. I enjoy the podcast with the YouTubers recently. Like, look at this, like I ain't believe it, doing it right now. Hey, let's go. Hey. And thought to myself, for a channel that's aimed at early creators, I don't think I've seen you cover stage 2, 1,000 to 5,000 subscribers much. It took me 18 months to get to 1,000 subscribers, and then another year to get to 2,000, and then another year to get to 3,000. Now, before I read more of this, that's very common. And sometimes it takes 3 years to get to 2,000. So it just depends. Everyone's journey is different. Then I did 3 months with vidIQ coaching, and I'm at 3,500 as I write and climbing. That's great. That's, exponential growth there. That last 5,000 has taken me 2 to 3 months, so coaching has really helped. So I'm putting myself forward to chat with you on a podcast. First of all, I love Shoot Your Shot. I love the Shoot Your Shot option. I love that. I understand what you present may need content-wise, and I feel like I've been through it, the random titles, the pivot from Minecraft and games to D&D content. I've butted up against some coaching advice before trying it and had seen it work. Anyways, yeah, I'd love to help those who clamor for 1,000 subs. So I brought this up because it's not really a question. It's more like shoot your shot for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think small creators think that they can't collab with larger channels or larger industries just because they're smaller. And Chris, shot is shot. Next year, 100%, we're going to do things just like this. And Chris, I'd be more than happy to have Chris on. So sure. Secondary, and by the way, my first year on YouTube, when I didn't have hardly any subscribers, I was collabing with multi-million subscriber channels. It's not that difficult. We've talked about it before. Have a good value prop for the person, a good way to approach, be nice is fine. But what I think is important here is he does bring up a really good point. And even internally at vidIQ, we talk about this a lot, like who are the people that need the most kind of help and stuff. And so many creators want to get to 1,000 subs. And once they get to 1,000 subs, there's this kind of middle part. He's talking about 1 to like 3 to 4,000 subs, where you're like, okay, well, what's the next level? In some ways, there isn't a next level, but in some ways, in some very real ways, there is a next level. What is your general advice for these kind of what did he call it? Level 2 subscribers, 1 to 5,000 subs to get to like 10K? Because that's a really cool number.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that once you've made it to 1,000 subscribers, you are doing some things right, which I think is really important to acknowledge. Like, okay, you've probably found some amount of like audience or like lane that you have like latched onto. You're like, okay, this is the audience that I like to consistently deliver to. This is the value that I feel like I'm consistently delivering. This is like the main format that I'm trying that I think like really gets across to people. And probably if you've gotten there, you've been relatively consistent. You've been showing up enough to get to this point, which I think is amazing. When I talk to people around that, like kind of like between like the 1 to 10K range of like, okay, how do I get to that point? Typically, it's about slowing down a little bit on the quantity, which seems a little bit counterintuitive, but it's kind of what we talked about earlier of if you've kind of got this, like, if you're kind of in this rhythm, you're like, okay, I'm doing these types of things, but all of my videos get like the same number of views and I'm not really growing, there's probably some like growth potential that is there. And there are probably a number of like low hanging fruits when in terms of like pretty substantial video quality increases that you can try. And I think I would start to really, really, really intentionally start thinking about how can we make my videos better? Like, what are the things that are holding me back? What is it better? Personally, like, how do I do that? Well, kind of two main things. One, after every video I upload, I do this post video reflection where I look at it and it's like, okay, how did I feel about this video myself? Like before I look at the analytics and get biased by what other people have to say, like how do I personally feel about the quality? How do I personally feel about like how I edited this? How do I personally feel about the script? How did I personally feel about, different elements of this video? And then then I'll go ahead and I'll take a look at the analytics. I'm like, okay, now like based off of that, how does it seem like they are reacting to this? And I'll write down this little post video reflection. And then based off of that post video reflection, what is one thing that I want to like really specifically focus on improving for next time? And these little like skills, they don't have to carry over from video to video to video. So for instance, one time I might be like, okay, this is like a new type of B-roll shot that I want to experiment with. This is like a new type of shot that I want to have in addition to like my talking head that I want to try. And maybe the next video I'll try it. And maybe it's like, great, I want this to become part of my staple style where every video of mine I want to have this. Maybe I'm like, that was fun. I don't think I really want to do this again, but at least like, it's like a new tool added to your tool belt. And I think like that's really what I would do to get like one of probably many things, but one of the main things I would say to get to that 10K is like really intentionally improve. And if you're getting to the point like I did kind of when I was on my journey to even monetization of like, oh, I can identify things that I want to improve in the video, but I don't have the time to be able to implement that. That's when I would slow down. And I wouldn't worry too much about that. I think some people are scared of like, oh, if I go from one video a week to one video every 10 days, then I'm just going to slow down and I'm never going to upload again. And like everything's going to be awful. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I think in my own experience, at least, there's been a lot of, okay, let's slow down to learn new skills.
Yeah.
And then those skills that used to take me 5 hours to do now only take me 30 minutes to do because I'm better at it. And then I can even go back to my like original upload speed, but with a bunch of new skills that I now know because I took the time to learn them. So that's probably the advice that I would give.
And your content is leveled up and people will notice more views, more impressions, more all the great things. And then you're famous. All right. We'll do one more email for today. Again, it's theboost@vidIQ.com. If you would like to send us an email, and every once in a while we might pick you. We get a lot of emails and sometimes I have to edit them down because people like to send long emails. And by the way, I read them all. I love them. I'm not asking you to necessarily edit them down, but just know that I got to pick what I can put on the thing. I can't fit everything in. This one's from Jeremy. Hey, Travis and friends. That's you, by the way. I know you did an episode a while ago about working with sponsors. I'm at the point now where I'm getting sponsorship deals that I'm thrilled with, but I'm worried I'm not being as valuable of a deal on their end. This is interesting. Here we go. I want to ensure a win-win collaboration where they see the value in collaborating and we can work together multiple times. I recently had a collaboration with a smaller brand, and after a month, I shared my analytics and asked how the collaboration went for them. Now, before I finish reading this, that's awesome. As a content creator, that's a great thing that a lot of content creators don't do. They're like, give me the check, I'm out. What Jeremy's doing, I love, is trying to connect with the brand so they'll want to come back and go, it was very easy to work with Jeremy. Not only that, he checked in on us. Like, that's awesome. I love that. They only had 2 users pay for their plan despite my video performing pretty well and me incorporating the brand several times throughout the video. The brand was also an excellent fit for my audience, Duolingo style coding app for an audience of aspiring game developers. I feel I lack the confidence in the value I bring to the table, but I want to be confident when proposing my rates to brands. What are some practical ways to incorporate a brand into your videos in a way that actually helps the brand acquire new users so the brand keeps coming back for more? Thank you as always. That's a great question. By the way, we have some of the smartest listeners on the planet, and they ask smart questions. It's a great question. It's not how do I get more subscribers? It's like, look, I need this thing to work out. What are your thoughts as you read that?
I think same as you. I think it's amazing that Jeremy is going back to the brand and sharing analytics and asking how it went from them. I do think that like the point of like 2 paying users, that tells one part of the story. So if you typically think about the flow of a viewer to a paying user, they go through a couple of hoops. One is, what is the like click-through rate that is there? So when you have your link, your unique tracking link, how many people are actually clicking on this link? Typically, this link brings them to some sort of like page. Maybe it's a landing page, maybe it's a checkout page of the product or brand. And then of those, maybe there's even like a free trial or something else. It's like, okay, how many people convert to a paid trial or like a free trial from that? And then maybe of those, how many people convert from a free trial to a paying user? And if you can, not every brand will be very open with what those numbers are, but I've worked with a lot of brands who give me a lot more transparency, even to the point of like setting me up with my own affiliate link, even if I'm not getting a cut, just so I can like see what the little, like what the click-through rate is. And that really helps, because then I can understand maybe like, is the problem because I'm not driving enough traffic to their page? Or is there a big conversion problem where I'm like, hey, like I'm giving you all of these people, but once people are on your page, they're not converting into paid users. Maybe they're converting into free trials, but they're not converting from free trial to paid user. That's good information for the brand to know, because it's like, hey, something in your product is probably turning people off. They're trying it and then they're leaving. If you're getting a lot of people to that page, but they're not converting into paying users, and it's like maybe their onboarding flow or their checkout process is flawed. They're like bleeding people through those cracks. There are even things that you can do to like work with the brand. So one thing that I've done is they had like a unique landing page for my unique link, where I even had like a little video from me on that page being like, hey, like, this is April Lynn. And that could be nice, even if it's like written or not like an actual video, because that can help people maybe convert once they've clicked. But if it is a problem, so I guess like that's one thing I would say is, if you have like this problem with only 2 paying users, it might be worth checking with the brand of like, okay, like how many people clicked? What does that funnel look like, to identify where in this process is the problem? That's one.
Then
two,
that.
Thank you.
That's so smart. By the way, what you just said is so true. And Jeremy, think about this for a second. Your job, what they're paying you for, is to get eyes on their site and their link. You are not in charge of converting them once they're there. If they messed up the link or messed up the marketing, that's not your fault or your problem. They are paying you for access to your audience. If you have provided that, great. But what April Lynn said here was really smart. If you can get the metrics to know how many clicks you're actually sending, that's actually what your success really is. Like, it would be great to be able to go to another brand and go, yeah, I made this many sales from this other company. But really, you need to say, I sent 10,000 clicks to that website. If they only got two buys, that's not your fault. That's their fault. So I love that. Keep going.
Yeah, and I will say there are different things that you can do to help each part of this process. So for instance, let's say you have a lot of people clicking, and I know you just said like, okay, it's not your prerogative to like help people convert. I will say there are things that you can do to help people convert. So for instance, you could work with the brand and say, hey, can we get my people a discount code if they sign up through my link? And then it's like, okay, then they have a reason to go ahead and like take an action based off of a link that they see, because they think, oh, like this YouTuber, this link will give me 20% off. I've been thinking about it. Maybe this is something that I do. So giving the viewer more of a benefit to go ahead and like click through and to purchase can help with that conversion. I will also say, in terms of how you integrate the product into your video, my stance on this has actually changed a little bit over the years. At first, I was very much like, oh, like bake it into the video as much as you can. So I'm a big framework girl. I love frameworks. I love putting things into frameworks. And so when I would do a brand deal, typically I would try to like have one of the steps of the framework be something that opens up a problem that the brand then comes in as a solution for. And it was great for conversions. It's like, it's very unskippable. Like, okay, if you skip that part of the video, if you skip that brand deal, you skip a really important part of the framework. You're like missing part of it.
That's
so
amazing.
People like to do it. That's what I used to do. Now, I'm actually interested in your take on this. Now my thoughts are kind of changing. And this may be getting a little bit technical, but
No,
it's
go for it.
because of what YouTube is introducing with dynamic brand integrations.
Yes.
And the problem with really like deeply baked in integrations like that is that it makes the brand deal much more embedded. So it makes it much more difficult to swap out that brand deal or take it out of your video. And when we're moving into a world where there are a lot more opportunities for more creative brand deals. So as an example, let's take it back. I know we just threw a lot of words out there. So what is a dynamic brand integration? YouTube is coming out with this feature next year, I believe, where let's say I'm talking in this video right now and we stop and Travis says, this video is sponsored by, I imagine it would be vidIQ since we're on the vidIQ podcast, but
probably yes.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. Great. Then let's say later on, this other brand comes and they're like, hey, we would love to have a brand deal on your channel. Instead of Travis needing to have a brand new video with talking about that brand deal, he could have the technology, the software to pull out the brand deal in this very video, even though it was already uploaded, and put in one of the new brand. And again, maybe for this podcast, because the entire podcast is sponsored, it's less of a thing. But for a lot of us, when we work with a lot of different brands, that can be something that can work a ton. And now I'm getting a lot more creative with my brand deals because I'm saying, hey, before just like, I'll talk about you in this video when I get this amount of money. Now I'm putting like end dates on this of like, okay, you want to be in this video, you can be in this video for the first 30 days. You can be in this video for the first 90 days. You can negotiate that. And then you can take it out. And even if you get to a point where you have a really big back catalog, you can be like, hey, we can put you in this new video. We can also put you in all of these old videos too. And this kind of opens a lot of doors for new deals to come in the future and a lot more opportunities, which is why it becomes trickier to be like, okay, I'm going to really intentionally bake in the integration, this specific integration to this specific video's content, because in the long run, that could end up hurting you and the opportunities that you can bring in.
Yeah. Actually, when I did the interview with Speed, they have a very big concern about that. I mean, they're a 1.5 million subscriber channel who makes a lot of money through sponsorships. So it's very something they're like, Travis, do you know anything more about this? I'm like, no, I don't know anything about it yet. They're like, they want to know immediately because it's going to affect them. So it is interesting. And we'll definitely talk more about that in the year, especially after they release it and we get an opportunity to kind of play around with it. I'm sure we'll have a bunch of content for that. Having said that, April Lynn, you are incredible. You did it. You came in, you crushed it, destroyed it, and now everyone loves you. So now that you're loved by all the vidIQ people, the vidIQ crew as we call them, we shall doth the April Lynn Q. You are now April Lynn Q. You're
Love
one
it.
of us. You're one of the vidIQ crew. You're welcome back anytime you want to. Obviously, if you're listening to April Lynn for the first time, you're like, I like her. I want more of her. Well, I'll leave a link in the description and in the show notes so you can find out more about April Lynn. She has some interesting offerings. Matter of fact, why don't you go ahead and shout out what you'd like to do for a little extra non-AdSense cash? What's the latest thing that you need to talk about?
Something that I'm planning on launching next year, actually. It's not out yet, but maybe by the time you see this, there'll be a interest form potentially on my bio.
Absolutely.
I am doing a 90-day challenge. So it's basically a 90-day curriculum of getting clarity, building momentum, and making the video that you are most proud of. So if you're interested in a 90-day challenge to grow your channel, check that out.
I'm not gonna lie, 100% guarantee there are people listening to this that want that. Because the last time we did something similar to that, there was a lot of interest. So you might have just caused people to be like, okay, I want it now. So now you got to get it done quicker. You might have to work on it.
We'll work on it.
Love it. Anyway, we'll have links in the description and show notes. And of course, thank you for watching. And if you're on the YouTube channel, feel free to hit subscribe if you like, if you want to come back and see more. We have tons of interviews. The last couple of weeks, we've crushed it on some really cool interviews. We have some new ones coming up. And if you're listening to the audio podcast, we only accept 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. So, we're a little hoity-toity here. We accept only 5 stars. So if you got a 5-star review for us, go ahead and leave us one. and we will see y'all in the next one.
So if you're getting 1,000 views on a video, you're crushing. You're doing amazing, and you should acknowledge that.
The analytics can sometimes lead you wrong.
Getting subscribers and views is great, but at the end of the day, the thing that's going to drive you isn't going to be subscribers and views. It's going to be something else.
Hey, welcome to the only podcast that's not only a fan of you, we're a fan of our guests too. I'm Travis here, as I always am Travis. I think I'm going to change my name next year, but I'm here with a very special guest, someone I'm really, really appreciative that shows some time, and I'll explain why a little bit later on. Nick Nimmin, how are you doing, Nick?
Travis, I am doing absolutely amazing. I'm super excited to be here on the podcast today. And I've got some fun information for you also that you may or may not know. I'm going to assume you do, but maybe not. So that might be some fun stuff to share here just a little bit later.
I can't wait. And for those of you that are new here, we just help people grow their YouTube channels. We do it in a lot of different ways. We do it with the creators that come on and help talk to us about YouTube. We give you advice. We answer your questions. We do all the things. And we have a lot of fun here as well. So I'm going to start off with the question that we usually ask a lot of different content creators. It's very critical. It's very just to understand and gauge your knowledge of things. Cadbury eggs or candy corn, if you had to
oh
choose.
My God, why would you do that to me?
This is
like,
the thing.
like the very first thing.
It's been going on for years, and we need to resolve this.
That is so tough. I would say Cadbury eggs.
Thank you. That was the right answer. That was the absolute right answer. And everyone,
I passed. We get to continue now.
We get to continue. Everyone that's Team Candy Corn. See, I told y'all, get out of here with that. That's terrible. It's wax. It's basically Dollar Tree wax. You go to Dollar Tree, you get a candle, and that's your candy corn. Anyway, back into helping you grow your YouTube channels. Now, Nick, let's talk a little bit about you. For those who may not know who you are, give us a quick little elevator pitch of who you are and like what you've been doing. You've been doing this for a long time, and I'll tell you how I came into the Nimminati right after that.
Yeah, so I started on YouTube back in 2014, so I've been doing it for over a decade now. Like a lot of people, I mean, pretty much everybody really, when I first started my channel, I didn't know what I was doing. And I was just plugging away, making videos about things that were going on in my life at the time. So at that time in my life, I was doing graphic design for people. So, and a little bit of like, just internet related things. So because of that, my videos were about things like how to stay focused when you are working in a coffee shop. I did have one about how to overcome camera shyness. That was my very first video because that was a problem that I had to overcome. But when I first started the channel, I didn't really have any direction like a lot of people don't. And I was just, trucking along. It took me 5 months to get my first 150 subscribers on my YouTube channel. And right around that time, somebody else was getting ready to cross a 100,000 subscriber milestone. It's a mutual friend of ours. And during that particular moment in time, he made a video and he said, hey, if my content has ever done anything for you, make a video. And I made a video. And, because I was watching his videos and they were helping me out, just like, people watch our videos, Travis. And I sent him a video. I was like, hey, let me put this video together real quick. And I sent it over to him. And he's like, hey, I like your camera presence, your audio, all that stuff. We should hop on a call soon. So hopped on a call, got the opportunity to work with him on another YouTube channel. It was going great. We started picking up momentum right away because, he knows what he's doing. And everything was going amazing. However, I, like a lot of creators, I was burning the candle at every end because I had my design business that I was running and I had my YouTube channel that I was running. And that particular type of content took a long time to prepare because I had to do a lot of research for it. And I just couldn't sustain it. I couldn't sustain the workload. So based on, what I had learned from him, and my bug that I had caught from YouTube, I said, okay, I'm going to do this YouTube thing. I have to figure this out. So I can't do this channel because everything takes too long. So I'm going to go back to my other channel where I'm sharing things from my life, but I need to figure out how to monetize. So I built a website, to monetize, started offering some services around that, some, pre-made graphics, things like that. And then I started, being more aggressive of making content towards content creators. But even then, I wasn't talking about YouTube growth related things. I was just talking about, coming up with video ideas, naming your channel, how to make thumbnails, those types of things that I was dealing with at that time. And I made a video about SEO because I was really good at getting my videos to show up in search. And the comment section was like, hey, this is great. Could you make some more of these? And I'm like, okay, yeah. And then basically I just started sharing the things that were working for me at the time. And then next thing you know, I had people started reaching out to me for consulting. And when they started reaching out for consulting, I was like, no, I'm not interested in that. And then I had one person that was like, hey, I know, after I told him no, he was like, I know that this isn't what you do, but I would love for you to just try it with me because, you seem, like a little bit about this stuff. So I'm like, okay. And then we, started working on his channel and, we got him some momentum. Now he's got, like 300 something thousand subscribers on his channel. And yeah, everything went great. And then another person reached out and I was like, okay, you know what? I'll try it again. And the next thing you know, we just consistently, started getting results for people. And then I started sharing the nuance of, hey, now we're not just talking about things that apply to my channel. Now we're talking about things that apply to, a lot of different types of channels, and it opens up your insights and all that stuff. And then I started gaining, more knowledge from all of that and just kept going and kept sharing, like I'm not one of those people that, locks everything up and tries to, kind of tease people along with the information that they're giving. I try to help people through my content. And because of that, people responded well to it because I just freely gave everything that I knew and I was having fun doing it and tried to stand out through connecting with content creators as a content creator, which was odd at the time because everybody was connecting with content creators from like a, I'm the coach that knows the stuff and you don't know the stuff, perspective. So, my presentation style, my set design, everything about what I was doing, I did it from the perspective of a creator because I'm a creator at heart, right? So I just kind of let all of that stuff come out. And then now, a bunch of years later, I'm sitting here, you and I are having this talk right here. On my channel, I've gained over 1.4 million subscribers on my channel, but I've lost a bunch over the years. So now I'm floating around like 9 something. And yeah, man, I'm having a blast. I love it. Love YouTube, love the opportunity that we have as content creators to tap into this amazing resource and express ourselves and reach and impact other people. I just think that, right now that there couldn't be anything better.
Yeah, and the thing about YouTube is really interesting because my connection point with you would have been 2018, 2019, somewhere around in there. And when you're first starting out, you're looking for growth strategies and stuff. So you come across Roberto Blake, yourself, Derral Eves, people like that. And I actually kind of remember one of the videos specifically where you were kind of walking around, it's like vlog style, but you were kind of helping people like just kind of grow their channels and just philosophies and stuff. I'm like, this guy's really cool, like the way he explains things. So I was watching more of your stuff. And then you started doing with your brother live streams on Saturdays. Now, I need to explain to you, because one thing I think as content creators we forget is like how we're impacting people on the other side of the screen. So I want to tell you how your live streams on Saturdays impacted me. Those were the equivalent of Saturday morning cartoons to me. I would wake up so excited because now you're in Thailand, so your time starts a little earlier than me.
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah. So by the time you're closing out, I'm just about waking up. But I would get up just like Saturday morning cartoons and it would be on and I would be sitting in there watching. And for years, I would watch every Saturday. And it was something I looked forward to every day. There would be times where I'd wake up and get excited, turn on Nimmin, put it on my TV. And then I'm thinking like, okay, I want a breakfast sandwich. I'm going to go get a breakfast sandwich, but I'm going to have it on my phone while I'm going through the drive-through, listening to, and then when I come back, I start eating my sandwich. I'm watching the show. It was the coziest time in my content creation thought. And when you guys stopped doing Saturdays for a while, it was sad to me because it was such a part of like my upbringing in the content creation thing. But now I consider you a friend, which is kind of crazy because I think YouTube is really interesting in that you can find people that you look up to and you really admire and you like, and then you can actually become friendly with them, which is unlike any other kind of situation you can come across. You're watching TV, you're probably not going to become friends with Denzel Washington. It's probably not going to happen for you. I'm sorry to tell you that. But Nick Nimmin, who helped change my life in so many ways by giving me information on how to grow on YouTube and stuff, and then I can hopefully share that to other people, I'm pals with. Like we're sitting down, we're talking. So I think what an incredible platform for that. But when you do things, you have impacted a tremendous amount of people. And maybe sometimes it's easy to forget about that going through your day-to-day. Because like, Nick, how often do you even think about the hundreds of thousands of people or millions of people that are now doing better on YouTube because of the stuff you've done? Does that even cross your mind at all?
It does. And I, like when you are, how it is, like when you're doing the thing, sometimes you can lose track of that. But fortunately, because of the things that I do get that information coming back, right? So when I go to conferences, people have those conversations with me. Every Saturday, people come into the live stream. They're like, hey, thanks. You helped me with this, help me with that. Or I started watching you, this time last year. Now I've got, 100,000 subscribers, or I'm full time, or, whatever the thing is. So I get that type of feedback, and that is, a nice reminder for that sort of thing. But, I try really hard, just like I'm sure, a lot of creators do, to, not look at the numbers as they're coming in as numbers, but looking at them as people. But in terms of, the amount of people that pass through that take the information compared to the amount of people that take the information and do something with it, there is a pretty big gap, right there between those two types of viewers. However, I do understand that with some of the videos that I publish, that I definitely make, an impact in some way.
Well, it's time to
and
make
it feels great. And it feels
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
And you hear
great.
back, like, I got 10,000 subscribers. Like,
right.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, let's see if we can do that right now, as we're going to try to help people get their first 1,000 subscribers, which seems to be like one of the biggest topics that you can make in this growth area, because there's so many people who don't hit 1,000. I feel like I remember seeing a statistic years ago that like the amount of people that even get 500 subscribers is like a tenth of the percentage of people that actually make YouTube channels, something like that. It was something ridiculous.
Yeah, it's really small. Even video counts, like almost nobody gets 1,000 views on a video.
Right.
So if you're getting 1,000 views on a video, you're crushing. You're doing amazing. And you should acknowledge that. Yeah.
Absolutely. But there's so many people out there that are like, I want to get to 1,000 because I want to monetize. And the mindset between someone who's brand new and starting out and trying to get to 1,000 versus someone who's been at it for years, we're going to try to break down a little bit of that. We do get emails from people who haven't even started their channel yet, which I love that, because that means people are really wanting to know before they dip in, like, okay, what do I need to know? I feel like those people are kind of part of my tribe, because I'm a very research heavy type of individual. So let's talk to everyone, whether you've been on the YouTube for a while and you're struggling to get that first 1,000, or you're coming into it and you're like, okay, I'd like to get to 1,000. I know it's monetization, but also there's something cool about saying I have 1,000 subscribers. What is the mindset you need coming into YouTube, either new or having done it for a while, to get over that hump? I know there's not like a magic sauce to it. I get that, but there is a mindset. What would you think? What would you say that is?
The mindset is acknowledging that you're in a learning curve. So, just like anything that you do, and I say this at the end of all my live streams, or all of my Saturday live streams that I do, just to remind people, because people just lose track of this, because everybody wants, these big numbers, and they're getting presented on YouTube's homepage, these videos with, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of views, and it makes them feel like they're not enough because of that. So I always like to remind people that YouTube is a learning curve. And when you think of it that way, then when you're struggling, then instead of getting frustrated and all of that, you just have to look at it and say, okay, well, just like if I was learning to play guitar, I have to go through all of these different processes. First, I got to pick the guitar that I want to play. Two, I got to figure out the type of music that I'm going to play, or the, different types of music that I'm going to try to play. Three, I got to figure out what the chords are. Four, I got to figure out what the notes are. Five, I got to figure out how to get my fingers how to work, right? You go through this big, long process when you're trying to learn how to play guitar, and you can do it for a really long time and still suck. YouTube is a very similar thing as it comes to the learning curve, right? So, when you're first getting started, you don't know anything. And because of that, if depending on how in tune you are, how into YouTube you've been and things like that, like you might have picked some things up through osmosis from just consuming the content. However, a lot of people, they start making videos and it's tough. They put all this work and then they build up their expectations thinking that when I publish this is probably going to change my life. Because I've seen so many stories on the internet about people publishing videos, and I think that I'm one of those people, so I'm going to do that. Or they publish the video and they're like, okay, I know this is going to do well. I've put my blood, sweat, and tears in this. It's good. In my eyes, it's good. And therefore, other people should like it. And then they publish the video, and the video doesn't do well. They get 100 views or less. Maybe they get 500 views, maybe 1,000 views, if they really nailed it on that first video. And then they sit back and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I put all of that work and I did all of that for like 38 views.
I know.
And the mindset side of that is, that is frustrating. There's no way to just kind of dismiss that. However, if you're like, okay, so why did this video not get views? Is it because my videos suck? Maybe. Is it because it was a bad video idea? Could be. Is it because how I put the video together, the story that I told or lack of story that I told was, it wasn't enough? Could be. Was it my packaging? Yeah, might have been. Right? But when you're in that learning curve and you just identify, hey, I'm running into these problems right now, it doesn't mean necessarily that I'm not going to be able to do this. It just means that I need to figure out what that next step is. And 100% of the time, that next step is developing a skill of some kind. That can be an understanding of how YouTube works by researching that. That can be learning how to make thumbnails by researching that. That can be learning how to write better titles by researching that. That could be learning how to tell better stories, how making your videos look better, like all the different things that we have to do. But the idea is if you're running into those walls and you just look at it like, okay, this is just one more no until I get to a yes, essentially, right? Like if you come from a sales background, that's going to make sense. But when you're publishing videos and you're not getting that traction that you want, it just means that there's, more things that you have to overcome, more skills to develop. And here's the elephant in the room that we also need to put a spotlight on. Even when you know what you're doing, you can swing and miss. When you know what you're doing, you can publish a video and you're like, you know what? I think they're going to love this. And you're going to publish it and then they're not going to love it. Sometimes you're going to be like, okay, you know what? I'm tired of making that. So let me make this, but it's still for this audience. And I just know they're going to love it. And you publish it and it's crickets. They just don't respond to it. And that can be gutting. But if every single time you do that, and I still do this, every single time you do that, you're like, okay, what can I learn from this thing that can help me get a little bit further on this, on this journey that I'm trying to take. But the mindset is to just bring your expectation down and instead just look at it through the lens of I'm on this learning curve. So everything that I learn about this and every skill that I develop around this, it's going to help me get a little bit further and a little bit closer to those view counts, to that authority that I'm trying to get, to that income that I'm trying to generate, to that community that I'm trying to build. Every additional thing that I can add to my skill sets and my understanding is going to get me one step closer to that.
And it's important to understand that while we'll go over some of the technical things you can do to help kind of get to 1,000, this is probably one of the first ones that's really important because it's so easy to burn out. There's so many people who try and quit. And if you don't want to be that person, you've got to set yourself up in this mindset first. And the learning mindset and not feeling like you're going to crush it right out of the gate is so important. There are people out there that are crushing it that don't even know it because they're so down on themselves because they don't get 10 million views per video. I've met creators that have been on the platform for like 3 months, averaging like 10,000 subscribers, which is ridiculous, or 10,000 views, which is ridiculous. And they think they're failing. And I'm like, you are in the top percentage of people that have ever done this without shorts. And I remember those conversations. They're like, really? I'm like, yes. Like, you have no idea how successful we are. So changing your mindset and just understanding that every video is an opportunity to learn is so critical. Now, the nuts and bolts of it, for a new content creator, you'll always hear things about SEO. And the reason that you hear so much about SEO is because it's kind of the easiest door besides shorts to kind of start getting views. And content creation can be about being artistic, but it's also about being a little bit strategic, right? You got to kind of understand where the audience is and what they're looking for. Once you get an audience built up, then you can do those more browse friendly kind of content. Like, this is the top 3 things that I think are cool. Like, they're more about you than the content. But when you're first starting out, you got to give value. You've got to give it to them. It's got to be less about you. You got to take your ego, throw it in the trash, and give it all to them before they'll ever be there for you. So let's talk a little bit about SEO. And you have a lot of strong background in SEO. When we're talking SEO, we're not necessarily talking about boring titles or even boring subjects, really. We're just talking about a packaging strategy for content. So we have a lot of gamers that listen. What's the kind of content strategy for like a gamer, for example? We'll try other content as well, but let's just say for a gamer, let's say I'm playing, I know I could just say Fortnite or Minecraft, which is probably the easiest thing to say. So let's just say one of those. What am I doing to try to make my video content show up in SEO as a newer content creator?
So the very first thing I want to say is shout out to the Fortnite crew, because I play Fortnite. My wife and I play Fortnite. We bond.
I play
Fortnite.
Minecraft a little bit, so I'm not gonna lie.
Nice, yeah. So shout out to Fortnite. But yeah. So when it comes to search, the easiest thing that you can do is help people solve problems through search. So if you're doing like let's play content, you don't want to target that for search, because when you're thinking of search, you got to think of intent of the viewer. That means, what are people actually searching for? Not, can I make some obscure title, and if I search for it, I'm going to show up for that obscure title? Not that. Instead, what are people actually searching for that I can make content for to compete for those particular search phrases or keywords or whatever approach that you're taking? But basically, the path there is to solve people's problems. So if you're doing Fortnite, anytime something new drops, grind. Anytime there's a new season that comes out, anytime there's a new update, grind. Make a bunch of content around that, around different things that people might be looking for in the game. any secrets that are in the game, any, gun reviews that you want to do in there, or weapon reviews, any of those types of things, anything that people might be looking for, you would want to make videos about those things. With that, the very first thing you want to do is you want to hop into vidIQ. Of course, you can look for all of this stuff in there. You can also hop into the YouTube autocomplete, which is basically the search bar, and you just start typing in around, things around Fortnite, and then it's going to show you the things that Fortnite is, the things that people are looking for around Fortnite. Now, when it comes to autocomplete, it's going to give you a bunch of information. Some of that information might be dated. So that's where, vidIQ comes into play, to where they can actually give you some volume and, things like that are important for this sort of thing. And you should be looking at trends as well. Like, if I make a video about this, are people still looking for this? Or am I kind of curving off on this particular, thing that I'm trying to capture? And then in addition to the trending things like the new updates and all that stuff that happen, in addition to that, anything else that somebody could be looking for around Fortnite that they might want to look for, or not want to, but they might look for over a long period of time. Because the place where search can really come into play when it comes to growing your YouTube channel is making evergreen content. And evergreen content, if you're not familiar with that, is basically content to where if you publish it today, it's still going to be good this time next year. And in gaming, I would say I would give it about a year, run there, especially with Fortnite, as much as they update, maybe even 6 months. But, if you're making any other type of content, then in that case, anything that's good for, up till this time next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, the longer that content will be relevant, the better off that you are going to be when you are targeting YouTube search. And those videos can drive your channel and sustain your channel for quite some time. And when it comes to a new content creator targeting search, there's another aspect of this if we zoom out. And the aspect of this is that when you're publishing for recommendations, if you're really good at making videos, you're really good at coming up with the topics, you're really good at getting people to click, that is the fastest path, for success on YouTube, because that's where all the traffic is. That's where all the views happen. However, in order for those things to happen, YouTube has to get a really good understanding of who it is that are a good fit, or who it is that's a good fit for your content. So because of that, if we zoom out and we look at the real value in search when you're getting started, that value is, let's say me, as somebody that plays Fortnite, I hop into YouTube search and I'm looking for something in one of the new updates that dropped. I am a Fortnite player and I'm looking for information about Fortnite. I type it into YouTube search. I see your video, I click on it, your video gives me exactly what I'm looking for, and I give YouTube all the signals that I am satisfied with your video. What YouTube just did is YouTube said, hey, this viewer that watches this video has also interacted with these other videos, and therefore let's kind of save this guy as somebody that might be a good fit for this channel. And then from there, when you publish another video, if I enjoyed the video and gave YouTube all the right signals, then the next thing that's going to happen is you publish that next video number 2 or 3 by this point, we'll see where you're at, but you've published, that next video. And then YouTube, as long as I have, engaged with that other video, is likely to test that video on me and see if I'm going to be a good candidate for that video. And then if I respond well to it there, then YouTube's going to say, oh, wow, okay, so this person is a good fit for this channel. And then for every single person that goes through YouTube search and they find your content, YouTube is essentially building a profile of people that are engaging with your content. And when they do that, then your recommendations start getting dialed in, and YouTube can really start ramping things up on your channel, as long as people are responding well to your content and you're making content on good topics, right? So the zoomed out version of the power of YouTube search for starting a new channel is you essentially get to tell YouTube who your audience is. That's why a lot of channels that start with a search first strategy, when they're first getting started, they'll be trucking along like this, and they're thinking that everything sucks, and they're like, man, all this effort that I'm putting in, it just completely sucks. And then it starts curving up, and then you'll start seeing those channels just start lifting up. It, again, as long as they're making good content. Then you'll see those channels just start lifting up because everything is fine-tuned. YouTube understands that the creator understands who they're trying to reach, and they're making excellent content for the people that that are a great fit for the content.
That's such a breakdown of SEO. So awesome. And what now, let's just kind of go over it, is how to figure out what type of content you want to make. We're going in the search bar, of course, using vidIQ. If you're new here, we have links in the description for the free tool. Then you also can look at other thumbnails that are ranking high for different search terms and kind of figure out what your version of that is. You don't want to go so far off that it doesn't make sense, but you do want to stand out. But the one thing I think is really important, you kind of alluded to it here at the end, is to make good content. But what that is kind of an interesting thought process. So you have to think, what is it I'm trying to accomplish? So what Nick said at the beginning is important. People are searching for something, right? Now, when you search for something as a person, you got to think, what am I trying to get out of it? Well, I just want an answer to something, or sometimes I want to be entertained. But for the most part, like if you're the Fortnite person, or if you're, how to unclog a toilet or whatever, I want the answer pretty quickly. So you need to make your content in a way that makes sense for that viewer, because the signals that Nick talked about at the end there, which is the good signals, whatever those are, have to happen from people enjoying and watching the video. So you have to keep people watching for a while. So if your video is about the 10 greatest guns in Fortnite, you better at the very beginning start to talk about some of those guns. I don't want to hear half an hour of how this is your 6th video on your channel and that you're happy to come. No, we don't care about that. Give me the first couple. Give me some bangers right off the bat. Oh, wow, this is cool. And then you're buying that time. I talked about this in a couple of videos ago. I said, every time you do something, you re-engage the viewer, you've bought a little bit more time from them. So they come in, they see the thumbnail and title, they click it, they like it, they go, okay, this is the information I want. I want to know about this great new update that just happened to Fortnite, or whatever it is you're making videos about. They watch the first 10 seconds looking for a reason to leave. If you give them a reason to leave, they will probably leave because they don't know you. They're gone. Like, I don't know who you are. I just wanted to know this answer. But if you do something like, I'm going to show you right now, here's one of the best parts of it, but there's actually more to it than you ever thought. Oh, okay. Well, let me sit for a little couple. I'll give you another 30 seconds of my time. Give them some more good information, rehook them again. Okay, I'll give you another minute of my time. And the longer you keep someone in, the more engaged they get, because they're kind of committed. At some point, there's this tipping point of like, most people are going to hang out for the majority of the video if you keep giving them value. But the reality is, for SEO friendly content, people are coming with the intention of getting an answer and leaving. You got to give them that answer, and you got to give it to them very well, probably better than anyone else. And you want them to engage with you at some point, but it's not going to be at the beginning. I'm just going to be honest. You can show your personality, but don't spend a lot of time puffing yourself up. They want answers. So
it's about
really
them
critical.
And the solution. That it's about the person that's looking for whatever it is that they're looking for. And your job, your role in that scenario is to give them what it is that they're looking for in the most efficient way possible. That's why, like Travis is saying right now, you don't want to, put a bunch of fluff about what's going on in your channel. You don't want to, talk about, why you got into Fortnite and started playing Fortnite in the first place, all those things. You want to give people what it is that they're actually looking for and help them, give them a real solution that they can apply, as soon as they can apply it.
And another thing for helping you get to 1,000 subscribers is having people watch more of your content, because people don't typically subscribe on the very first video they see. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to remember the last time I subscribed to a channel. I watch a lot of channels, and a lot of them I'm not even subscribed to. I just sometimes forget about it. Like, YouTube just keeps surfacing their video to me, which is great. But if you want someone to click subscribe, you've got to give them so much value and make it so obvious to them they don't want to miss any of your content that they almost are forced to press the button. So, Nick, what's a good way to not just ask for subscriptions? Because that's another thing. People say, should I ask for subscribe? Should I not? But binging content is, in my opinion, the best way. Because if you're like, I love this channel so much, I don't want to miss anything. Like, what's that magic sauce to kind of get that over the hump? To click subscribe.
So absolutely getting people to watch more content and doing that in a strategic way. So a lot of people just hope that people watch more videos. A lot of people just hope that they'll click on something in the end screen. But instead of taking that approach, start thinking about your videos instead of one video at a time. Start thinking about sets of videos and start thinking about reasons. Like, okay, if I make this video, then why would somebody video A? If I make video A, then why would somebody want to watch video B that watch video A? If they watch video A and video B, why would they want to watch video C? And then you start planning that out over the course of, let's say, a 90-day period. And you say, okay, so when I publish this video, then I'm going to link to this other video on my channel. Since I know that I'm going to do that, once I get to the end of the video, I'm not going to ask them to subscribe. I'm not going to ask them to comment. I'm not going to ask them to go buy my merch. I might do some of that stuff earlier, maybe in the middle of the video, maybe something real quick, a little graphic shows up, something like that. But I'm not going to do any of that stuff at the end. Instead, I'm going to say something along the lines of, yeah, and if you thought this was great, I take it to a whole other level in this video right here. You can go ahead and click into that right now and go check it out. I'll see you over the next video. And then what you do right there is you get somebody at their, high interest or peak interest, and you take them and you move them right into another piece of content. And you level that up by linking them into playlists instead of just linking them into individual videos. But individual videos are fine. It's better than nothing. But link them into a playlist, if you can. But the more that you can think through those things and think about, okay, what would be the best fit for the person that's watching this video right now in terms of something else on my channel that they could watch next. And then you literally lead them into that video or playlist. In addition to that, make sure that you're using cards where needed, the info cards, make sure that you're using pinned comments that all lead to that same content as well, so that you're just creating that path. The whole idea is that you want to make it as easy as possible for the people that love what it is that you do to find more of what it is that they love from you. So the best way that you can do that is to facilitate that experience for them, because they don't know what's on your channel. They don't know the videos that you've published. All they know is they're watching this video right now and they love it. So you want to think about, okay, if somebody came in and they started watching this video, why would they click on this video in the first place? That means they're interested in X, Y, Z. So then by the time I get them to the end of this video, then are they still going to be interested in X, Y, Z, or are they going to be interested in something else? Or is there a next step that they can take, or whatever the thing is? And that's what you want that next click to be through your end screen. So the idea is to start thinking of your content and how you can lead people through the videos that you're making, instead of just making a video because it's Tuesday, right? And by doing that, then you are going to make it easier for YouTube to recommend your content to people more. You're going to collect more watch time, which is going to help you get monetized faster. You're going to get more subscribers, because when people interact with your content more, they subscribe at a higher rate. So you want to just focus on getting them to watch more content from you. And the easiest way to do that is make content that people enjoy. And then from there, facilitate that process. Even little details. People discount channel pages. They're like, oh, channel pages don't matter. It's like an afterthought. But the thing is the people that are the most engaged in what it is that you're doing are going to be the people that are hitting your channel page. So because of that, even take the time to say, okay, if somebody watches this video and they click on my name, what happens? What do they see? And then you'll go and you'll look at your channel page and then ask yourself, okay, if they land on this page, then how can I actually design this through the content sets that I'm making and the playlist that I'm leading people into? How can I design this in a way to where people can more easily find the content that they want from me the most? And then you make sure that you have that. You make sure that you have links to similar things in your video description, so people can also find you that way. For the people that are the most engaged and engaged enough to go down to your video description, make sure they can also, find you there as well.
I love that. And I used to spend a lot of time when I was coaching people on homepage design. They've slightly changed it in a way, and the For You tab helps a little bit, but I think there's still a lot of art in doing it well and getting people to kind of be funneled in. Finally, let's talk a little bit about different formats. So shorts and live streams, the strategy is mostly the same. Got to give value and stuff. Live streams are different because it's more of a community thing a lot of times, although there are some strategies behind that. But real quick, we've mostly been talking about long form. In shorts, other than the fact that you definitely have to give value a lot quicker in shorts, like you have no time to mess around. Is there anything different you would say that you have to add in addition to everything we've talked about to kind of get that momentum going for a shorts channel?
Well, when it comes to shorts, keep in mind that shorts also show up in search results. I mean, shorts show up everywhere. If we're honest, they show up everywhere. Like you'll be in the bathroom and you look in the mirror and you're like, oh my God, there's a short in here. Like, what's going on? Yeah. So, I mean, they literally show up everywhere. I was having coffee the other day and I look behind the barista and there's a short sitting over there on the shelf. And I'm like, what's going on?
On the short shelf?
Nah. So basically, when it comes to shorts, you can also optimize those for search as well. So you can also use that as a gateway in. Now, of course, most of your activity is going to come from the shorts feed in a lot of cases. However, on my channel and a bunch of other channels that I've looked at, some of the highest performing shorts on the channels are from search traffic. Yep. So because of that,
too.
So because of that, just because you are publishing shorts, don't think that search cannot be something that you can tap into. Now, of course, all this is going to be dependent on, are people looking for what it is that you're making and all that stuff, and is your content appropriate for it? But if it is, then in that case, that's another opportunity for you to get the shorts channel off the ground. So when it comes to the, getting 1,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel, we talked about, the mindset before, but a couple of quick things I want to go over too, that we just haven't touched on yet, if that's okay, Travis.
Yeah.
Is, the very first thing is getting your mind right and making sure you get your expectations covered. The thing that you have to do after that is make sure that you have your goals set up. You got to figure out what you're trying to accomplish in your YouTube channel. Getting subscribers and views is great. But at the end of the day, the thing that's going to drive you isn't going to be subscribers and views. It's going to be something else. It's going to be either, generating an income, making an impact of some kind, positioning yourself in some way. Like there's going to be something that's more important. Anchor everything it is that you're doing to that. And it's going to help you stay motivated. It's going to help you stay consistent. It's going to help you do the thing. And it's going to give you a direction to go in. So you're not just, aimlessly just publishing content out into nowhere. And then from there, get really super clear on who it is that you're trying to reach with your content. There's tons of nuance in this. So, for example, if we go back to Fortnite, you might think that you're just trying to reach people that are interested in Fortnite, but that's not the case. You might be trying to reach people that love watching other people play Fortnite because they can't play Fortnite, late at night while, their roommates are asleep or whatever the thing is. You might be trying to reach people that are just trying to excel at Fortnite, and therefore they need as many tips as they can possibly get. You might need people that are just looking for Fortnite communities and they hang around, let's play content and things like that for them. So just really understanding the nuance of who you're trying to reach can make a gigantic difference on your YouTube channel. And then from there, learn the art of actually making videos, because you know what you're trying to accomplish. You got your mind right. You know what you're trying to do. You know who you're doing it for. And then from there, you gotta just over deliver with everything it is that you publish, and then learn the art and skill of making content, and then refine things over time.
And how do you approach this as a live streamer? Because you do a lot of live streaming, haven't done it for years, and there are some people who live stream listen to this podcast and are kind of like, well, that advice is good, but it seems like some of it doesn't apply to me. I mean, some of it still does. What are your thoughts when you're talking to that?
So when it comes to live streams, there's different reasons that people live stream. So for example, my live streams are 100% community focused. I did growth focused streams for about a year where I was doing YouTube news every Friday. And in that particular situation, those videos got lots of views because I was streaming for the purpose of the content, not necessarily streaming for the sake of streaming. So what I mean by that is, a lot of people think that live streams have to be, an hour long, 2 hours long, 3 hours long, 30 minutes long, whatever the thing is. But in reality, you can record content live. So you can make a 10-minute live stream video that delivers all of the content that you would stretch out into an hour. And you can make that video and you can publish that video. And by doing that, you're not alienating people that can't spend an hour or they don't want to risk spending an hour with somebody that they haven't met yet, right? So when you do smaller or shorter live streams based around, topics that your target viewers care about, then that gives you the opportunity to get in front of them. Two, if you are live streaming and you're doing long live streams, I recommend that you clip your content as well. So, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention Opus Clip here, but they're an amazing.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. They're like an amazing solution for that. To where it takes your long form videos and gives you like a bunch of shorts. Now, the reason that I'm mentioning this is because if you're a live streamer, you might think like, hey, shorts isn't appropriate for me. But if you have these moments in your live streams that you can clip out, the short shelf, think of it like advertising, to where, hey, if I put some of my best highlights for my live stream over in shorts, then that gives people the opportunity to engage with me that might not have ever clicked on a live stream because, hey, whoop, I just show up with a swipe. And then if I can capture their attention, then that gives me the opportunity to where if I keep capturing their attention, maybe they'll come check out my channel, see that I live stream and want to participate in that, right? So using shorts as a part of that is important. 3, I think I'm on 3. You want to make sure that you are also structuring your live streams correctly. So if you're doing a community stream, all that stuff doesn't really matter that much because you're just hanging out, with your people. That's what we do. Our live streams. I have a channel review stream that I do occasionally. I'm not on it like, vidIQ is, but like I occasionally do channel review streams. And then we do the Q&A stream every Saturday. And with both of those, they're just community streams. So like we're just doing it for the people that are already engaged, people that need help and, and all that. So because of that, we don't do what I'm getting ready to tell you. So the third thing here is if you're trying to use your live stream for the sake of growing your YouTube channel, you need to make sure that from a structural standpoint that you're doing it the right way. So how you do that is when you first start the live stream, you want to have a clear hook, just like you do in a regular video. This is what we're doing. This is why it's important, or this is how it's going to impact, whatever the thing is, right? Like you just have a clear hook and then move them into the content. You can still be a little bit loose, but when it comes to your live stream, you want to make sure that for the replay, which is where most of the growth is going to come from, in most cases, not all, but that's where most of the growth is going to come from. So because of that, you want to make sure that you're live streaming structurally in terms of how your live stream is structured for the replay. So what that means is a lot of people start their live streams. They're doing like hangouts. Hey, John, welcome to the stream. Hey, Travis, nice to see you here. Thanks for swinging by. Hey, Sally, it's great seeing you here in the stream today. But while you're live, that's amazing. But when you're watching on the replay, you miss the boat. And it's an exclusionary thing that you're doing there. So I know that you want to hang out with the chat. I know that you want to, do all of that intro stuff. So because of that, what you want to do is when you first start your live stream, you want to get all of that stuff out of the way. And then you want to create a clear cut point. The way that you do this is you get to a point in your video or where you're getting ready to start the content. You say, if you're just joining us, and then you pause for just a second, and then you say your hook again, right? So if you're just joining us, today we're talking about how to get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, right? So what you do is you go into the YouTube editor after the live stream is complete, and you look for that space between where you said, hey, if you're just joining us, and then whatever your hook is, and then you cut it right before that. And then what happens there is the replay viewer, they come in and they experience that live stream as a more put together piece of content while you and your community still got to do all the fun hangout stuff before you did that. Now, I know in some cases, you're going to be doing some of the community hangout stuff throughout the stream, and that's perfectly fine, but the thing that I'm trying to express is that when somebody first comes in, you want to be able to capture their attention. You don't want to waste their time, and you want to get them into the content as fast as you can. Once you're in the content and they're getting value out of what it is that you're doing, you have a little bit of flexibility there, but you got to get them hooked first, just like you do in videos. So because of that, just try to be mindful about that experience that people are having, and go back and watch your streams. Go watch your stream and say, okay, if I didn't know me and I clicked on this, would all of this stuff that I'm doing in this first minute be a complete waste of my time? If the answer is yes, then that would be the stuff that you would want to cut out. Or you could just completely restructure your live stream to make sure that you're just not doing, those types of things. So everybody's streams are different. So, this conversation kind of go, a bunch of different ways, but if you are trying to use your streams to grow, then you want to do that. And this is going to be content dependent also, but live streams are amazing for trending things. So if something's trending and you hop on a live stream and you're doing that, because live streams, like YouTube's system understands that live streams are, important in that moment in terms of while the person's live. So because of that, live streams carry a lot of weight when it comes to like home pages, sometimes search results as well. So because of that, if you do make content around things that are trending, live streams are great. Even the Fortnite reference that we were talking about before, when Fortnite is doing an update, all of the major channels, they all go live and they wait for that update to drop. They sit there, they interact with their communities, and they're hanging out because they know that they're going to be all over home pages for people that are into Fortnite. And if people are like Fortnite update, Fortnite season 7, they know that they're probably going to be in there somewhere. So they'll sit there for, hours waiting for those updates to happen.
That's fantastic. And I love that whole, say something and then pause, and then you go back and edit. Oh, that's clutch. People don't even understand how sneaky ninja that is. That's amazing. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to answer a couple of your questions you've sent in. There's 2 ways you can send in questions. If you're listening to the audio only podcast, there's a link in the show notes that says send a text message. You click that, send a text message. It's cool. And then, of course, you can send us an email at theboost@vidiq.com. But first, we're going to go to a text message just because that's the way I have it queued up. And it's not really a question this time. It's more of a comment. This is a text message. It says, season 6, episode 54, the 5 reasons your channel isn't growing and how to fix it today, was great, you guys. Great points about Winderly videos. I think that is misspelling, and how to release and not overthink it, but to think of it enough, and all the good stuff you guys do. Also, the audio levels were louder, which is great to listening to in the car on the way to work in the middle of the night to go scrub toilets. Anyways,
nice.
Thanks, and see you later. Well, thank you for your service, because those toilets need to be scrubbed. That's for sure. Yep. We appreciate it.
Hey, and really quick, I just want to say to that person, so a lot of people don't know this about me. I'm not even sure if I've ever said this before, but for that person, so I used to have a commercial cleaning company where we did office buildings and stuff. And during that time, the startup of that, my partner and I at the time, we actually had to do the cleaning ourselves before we got into the position where we could actually hire people. So I actually had a period of time in my life, I would say probably 4 months, to where I was, where I was in there like cleaning toilets and stuff. Wow. Yeah. So I just want to, share that with that person because, for them, they are, on their way to go do that. And for them, they're like, hey, I'm going to go do this, but I just want to let you know that, that,
you've been there.
Yeah, been there. And, what you're doing, is definitely important. And you know, right around the corner, you know, things might change for you if you take
never
YouTube
know.
seriously. Yep.
What are the chances of that? That's wild.
Right?
I love that.
That is. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, next text message. Hey, vidIQ crew. My name is Bryant, and my channel is called I Have Comic Issues. My question is about collaboration. If you do a live stream interview with someone, do you have to wait until the video is finished processing before you can collaborate with them? Or can you set up the stream beforehand in the landscape mode and have the collaboration set up from the get-go? Thanks, Bryant. Hope all your issues are comics. I hope all your issues are comics. What a great little tagline that is. We talk a lot about collaborations on this channel. This video is collaborated and how good it is. I've not done a live stream collaboration before. Have you done that?
I haven't either. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Can you set it up beforehand? I'm not even sure. I think so, but I understand what he's saying, because typically you have to send the link to the person who's going to be collaborating with you after the fact, right? When you upload the video. Mm-hmm. So, Brian, I'm not 100% sure, but I will say that in any format you can live stream or you can collaborate, you kind of should. It's one of the few things, and I've said this so many times, people listen to this channel know that, like, I'm going to say it again. It's one of the few things that YouTube has released recently that's actually good. It like actually works well and really is what they promised. It's not like some weird feature that they end up shutting down 8 months later. I'm not going to talk about anything specifically. I remember YouTube stories. I used to love those things, but those things don't exist anymore because whatever. But yeah, so I would say we're unsure, but I have to assume that if you go into live stream, that would allow you to do it beforehand. So hopefully so. All right. If you want to send us an email, theboost@vidiq.com, you can send us one. And Benjamin did. Hey there. Given Travis said he loves talking about retention graphs. I do. This is actually a sad thing that I have to admit. I love talking about retention graphs. I have something adjacent. I have an edutainment channel where I talk about movies. Travis said in the last episode, we should be shooting for 50% retention on a 10-minute video, I think. I've been uploading every week for 18 months. I still haven't broken through. I'm averaging roughly 300 to 1,000 views per video. I took an average of my last 5 most recent uploads, all videos that were between 8 and 13 minutes. Average view duration is about 32%. Terrible, I know. Well, by the way, not necessarily, but let's keep going. But I found something interesting. AVD for regular viewers is at 59%, casual viewers is 51%, and for new viewers, 30%. And CTR overall is 2.4%, but 9% for regular viewers, 6 for casual, and 2 for 3. I write all this out to ask, is there something to be said that with time, you will inevitably put yourself in a better position to grow? I'm actively trying to make each video better, and I know that if my videos were S tier, then I'd have 50% retention from new viewers and 5% CTR. But at the same time, it feels like the more regular and casual viewers I inevitably get, the higher my AVD and CTR will become, and the closer I'll be to getting to YouTube full time. Is this part of a YouTube waiting game? So he kind of figured it out at the end here. Like, that's exactly right. When you are a new channel, you don't have a lot of, or even a smaller channel, you don't have a lot of the hardcores watching you. So of course your metrics are going to be skewed. And at the end, you do start to get more and more of those people. What are your thoughts about this question, Nick?
So the very first thing is, if you're getting under 1,000 views on your video and you're running at like a 2.9 CTR, I don't know if that's averaged out or if he was pulling that from a traffic source that he's going after. But I would definitely look into that. And keep in mind, when it comes to CTR, it's not always the thumbnail.
Right.
A lot of times it's the topic itself that that ends up hurting it. Yep. So because of that, the disservice that you could be doing is the actual topics of the videos themselves. I mean, you're getting people to watch, but in terms of, like when you're publishing your videos, think for the people that like my type of content, is this video that I'm thinking of making, is this going to reach a large amount of those people? Or is it going to be of interest to a large amount of those people? If the answer is yes, then, move forward. If the answer is no, then unless you have a strategic reason that you're doing it to bring attention to something or, whatever the thing is, then in that case, keep working on it until you can make it more broad within your niche. And then when it comes to your AVD, like what, Travis says about, getting the 50%, and higher, having a, as high as possible complete rate, all that stuff absolutely matters. However, the fact that your casual viewers and returning viewers are enjoying it is a plus, and it tells you that you are doing the right thing for them. So now what you have to start thinking about is, if you do want new viewers to respond better, is maybe you're doing things, and this might be strategic. You might be applying like some branding things a little bit more heavy than you should. Like, for example, if you're using like insider language for your community or calling people out by your tribe name, whatever the thing is, like that right now with where you're currently at, you might need to just kind of dial some of those things back just a little bit to make your content a little bit more accessible for new people. And that even comes down to little nuanced details. Like, for example, when your video first opens, saying like, oh, hey, welcome back. Or, hey, everybody, what's going on? Right? Like those types of things, you start creating these disconnects for new viewers. Whereas if you're like, hey, I'm going to show you, or I'm going to tell you, or, hey, I'd love for you to join me on this journey, or whatever the thing is, to where you start using singular language for the viewer, and you start making just everything more accessible and easy for new viewers to engage with what it is that you're doing. That'll definitely help with your retention on that if you're doing, those particular things.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of a dual answer. It's like what Nick just said, and then also as you grow, a lot of these things are going to get better, not just because the numbers will change because you have more hardcore viewers, but also you'll be better. You're just going to be better at it.
Right.
You're just going to be a better content creator. So don't feel like this is a thing that's never going to change for you. It will likely change for you. You will get better. You'll understand how to engage new content or new viewers better. And then, of course, your numbers will grow. So first of all, you're doing well, doing very well. I just want to acknowledge that, again, if you're averaging, close to 300 to 1,000 views, there's so many people on YouTube that are not doing that right now. They can't do it. They've tried for years, and you are already doing, you're crushing it. And the fact you're asking the questions the way you're asking means you're really thinking about it, which I love. You're not asking, how do I get more subscribers and views? No, you're like, okay, well, I got these numbers, but I've also noticed something, that the people that love me are really hanging out. It's like, yes, you're looking into the matrix. I love that. I love seeing that from people. All right, we got one more email. And of course, again, if you want to send us an email, you can send it to theboost@vidIQ.com. And we'll be doing more of these in the coming year. This one's from, it's either Joseph or Yosef. It's Josef. I don't know how you pronounce it, but I'm going to say Joseph. Hey, VidIQ crew. In the podcast titled 5 Reasons Your Channel Isn't Growing and How to Fix It Today, Travis and Dan discussed the retention blind spot. During that discussion, Dan talked about a channel, which he does not name, that he felt has been clickbaiting him. His description of the channel immediately made me think he was talking about my channel. But even if he wasn't, Dan's detailing of why he didn't like the video smacked me across the face like a cold, wet towel. I've been suspecting the same thing about why he didn't like, about my approach. But the YouTube analytics kept singing a different tune to my ears. It's a melody suggesting I must have been wrong. Look at the views, look at the engagement. But I have been deceived. Initially, my viewership was primarily search-driven, and my analytics reflected that. However, as my thumbnail skills improved and some of my content hit the more currently relevant topics, my viewership shifted to the browse feature, revealing cracks in my approach. Dan's cold, hard, in-your-face opinion about that channel yanked me out of YouTube's reinforcing embrace, and I now follow my own instincts. I have since started revamping my thumbnails and titles to better match the content, while still adding a bit of flash to entice curiosity. But that left me thinking, which should we, the new content creator, trust more, our gut feelings or the feel-good numbers from analytics? Man, what a question. That's fire, Joseph. That's fire.
That is. That's a really good question. Yeah, so you have to trust your instincts, but you also need to rely on the data that is a reflection of how people respond. And the reason for that is because if you trust your own instincts and that's all you run on, then you are going to be making everything around all the stuff that you think matters, and it might not matter. And you might be making, your content around the things that, matter the most to you. But when it comes to the person that's engaging with the content of your target avatar, like they just don't, care about those things that you think that they should care about. So because of that, use your own intuition and apply it, and then look and see what the data says. And then once you see how people respond to your decisions, if you want other people to enjoy what it is you're doing, then in that case, that's where you start, modifying things if you need to. And keep in mind, I'm not saying to not have a creative spark. I'm not saying not to experiment. I'm not saying not to express yourself. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is that you just have to learn how to balance those things with what it is that other people, enjoy and get value from.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that this email came in, because I think the easy answer is to say, well, just look at what the analytics tell you, because that's the truth. And in certain instances, that's true. However, the analytics can sometimes lead you wrong. So let's say, for example, you do a non-niched video that pops off for your channel, and all of a sudden that's great. Oh yeah, you got all these views and subscribers, but it's on a topic you never do anything about. You don't even like it. You just did it because you hoped you got views. Now you've put yourself in a pickle. And we talk to creators all the time that have done this. I did this one video about this one subject. I don't even like the subject. Now it's the only thing I can do. Well, yeah, I mean,
how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome
It worked.
to YouTube. Yeah.
I know. Welcome to YouTube. Yeah. Sorry about your luck. Please drive through. Yeah. That's why I always say when people, whenever someone says, I want to make a video about this, I tell them, okay, are you going to be all right with making a video about the same subject for the next 3 years consistently? If so, cool, go for it. Let's go. If not, don't do it. Just don't do it to yourself. So that's when metrics can kind of sometimes lead you astray. It's like, oh yeah, everyone loved this, but I'm never doing that again. So yeah, your gut sometimes has to be a mixture of that.
There's other things about the metrics too. Like for example, like on the last email that you mentioned, is, they were talking about their casual viewers responding to it better, and their regular viewers responding to it better than new viewers. And other things is how you interpret the data that you're looking at. That's also super important. And a lot of people kind of discount that, and they just look at it as, well, this is how it did in its first 3 days. So that means that's just how it always is. But in reality, your analytics are going to shift over time. So, when you first publish your videos, everything's usually higher, because that's, for the people that are the most likely to enjoy, at the highest level, what it is that you did. And then as you progress through time, then that's where things can start to get challenging, because, there's a lot of people that, that are probably listening to this right now, to where, you might publish a video, and then for the first like few days, it crushes. And you're like, all right, this is it. This is the one. And then it just dies and it completely flatlines.
Yes.
What happens then is you did great for, the engaged viewers. But once you started getting into, groups of people that are probably a good fit, but maybe not the perfect fit for it, once you started getting into those groups, then, you weren't able to maintain that response once you got into those groups. So the difference on, videos that perform well versus ones that don't is they're able to maintain, good metrics throughout the, throughout the whole experience. And of course, the more and more people that interact, the harder and harder it is to maintain everything. But the thing the trap that you don't want to fall into, and this goes in the other direction too, is, hey, this is a 1 out of 10. Therefore, I'm riding this one to the bank. You don't want to fall into that trap, because as if you've published more than 10 video, or let's say you've published 20 videos, I'm sure you've seen, you might get a 1 out of 10. And then for whatever reason, because, you just didn't hit the mark, that video ends up dropping, over a period of time. And it goes in the other direction too. You publish a video, those most engaged people didn't really dig it. But once YouTube started testing it against some other people, then it found that group that does like it. And then, things start rising. And the next thing you know, that video is driving your channel, even though it was a complete dud when you published. So because of that, when you are looking at your data, don't just look at it from, okay, I'm just going to look at the lifetime. Look at it within the ranges that you're trying to understand how people are responding to it. So for example, those first days are important. Look at the first week, look at the first 28 days, check back in, look at it, 90 days later, and be like, okay, how are people responding to it now? Do I need to update the thumbnail now? Should I run an A/B test on my thumbnails and titles now in order to see if I can get a better response from this group that isn't that perfect fit anymore?
Fantastic stuff, Nick. Thank you so much for joining me today. I think there's so much ridiculous amount of value that's in this podcast that you might have to rewind. You might be taking notes. When I have people come on, you should already have your pen and paper out. You should already have it. There's the amount of stuff we've had. Derral Eves on. We've had Lynn on. We've had Justin Moore. We've had so many people that have so much knowledge that I get out of these podcasts and I'm like, okay, let me cram that back in my brain before it falls out. There's a lot to learn, but we're here for you. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're listening on YouTube. And of course, if you're listening to the audio podcast, it'd be great if you left us a 5-star review. As far as Nick goes, it would be great. We would love that.
Yeah.
As far as Nick goes, go to his YouTube channel. There'll be a link in the show notes and in the YouTube description, because on Saturday mornings when he's live streaming, I'll probably be in chat. So come through, say hello, hang out with the group, learn a lot of things. Because and Nick actually answers questions from the crowd too, so it's not just a talk down to the live stream. Like, how is your format for people who don't know?
Yeah, so basically you come into the live stream. It's completely free to participate. And I have a form that I put down in the video description. And I don't do like with vidIQ, they preload the forms when they're looking at channels and stuff. For me, you got to be there.
Yeah, I love that.
That's the difference. Yeah, you got to be there. So, so because of that, you show up, and then in the description of the live stream, and then I'll mention other places that you can get it while I'm streaming, but basically the description of the live stream, you can go there, you'll see the form, you click on that form, you fill out the information. I ask you about like the goals you're trying to accomplish, so I can make sure I'm giving you the right answers. I give you reference channels, so if you need feedback, I have like a channel that's thriving in your niche that I can reference to show you, how you compare. And I just ask you all these details about what you're trying to do. And then you submit that question. And then once I get it, because we answer them in the order that they receive, then we just answer them on the stream. And you don't have to super chat. You don't have to do anything, but just hang out and wait for your, question to get answered. And that's
and
it.
The community over there is amazing. I love the community over there. And yeah, come on through. And
you might
like
even hear Travis's voice during that. And hey, Travis, first off, man, really quick, I just want to say thank you for having me on. But one more thing I want to mention that I said at the beginning, that I kind of teased at the beginning. I don't know if you know this or not. I'm going to guess you do, but I don't know for sure. That I hosted Tube Talk for a while.
I didn't know that, actually. That was years ago. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So basically way back, right when I first, right when D first started streaming, I think I was right around 100,000 subscribers at that time. I hosted Tube Talk back when Jeremy Vest had it.
Jeremy.
Yep. And I think I did it for maybe 6 months, maybe, I don't know if it was quite a year, but I did it for a little bit of time, as well.
There's been so many hosts.
So yeah, that was my little surprise there.
That's amazing. I actually didn't know that. Yeah, for those who listen to the audio podcast, you might see that there's a tremendous amount of episodes, right? And most of you know I've been only here for about a year and a half or so. But I knew that, of course, Leron's been here, Viper. I didn't know that you were. I have to go rewind and look back. That's amazing. I had no idea. That's so awesome. Yeah, so if you're an audio podcast listener, rewind, go back. Go back and listen to the old Nick Nimmin. That's amazing. Love it. But again, everything will be linked in the description and show notes if you're listening to audio podcast. And we will see y'all in the next one.